Are you joking?
That's awesome.
And we are live. So, anything said now
can be held against you in a court of law.
Thank you, Mr. Cumberbund.
Oh, that should be my name, Cumberbund. I'm Professor D-Bag Cumberbund.
And his sidekick, Pumpkin.
You'll think we've been drinking all night long.
And they won't be wrong.
I'm half exhausted. I had to drive Olivia back to Overton before coming here. I got pulled over in Overton.
Did you get a ticket?
No. Thankfully, the officer...
knows your work and was a big fan?
No. He's like, you haven't had a ticket in 13 years. And I was like, no, I haven't.
I saw you in
You're like,
Assassin.
no, I haven't.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I'm flat wore out. The last couple of days has been go. So I'm, like, dragging.
I had done regionals all weekend, so I told him, I walked out of there with a false sense of entitlement and some scurvy.
Glencam is not going to work this week.
Oh.
Batteries. I didn't charge it today. And
Your Glencam looks like a flashlight like I have at home.
Maglite.
It is.
Maglite.
It is. But it's infrared, LED, flashlight, and camera.
That's just fun.
Brilliant.
Yeah, except the battery sucks on it.
Alright, so you start running spots.
You got it? Yep.
So, the biggest thing I can tell you is just forget that the mics are there. And just talk. Like, don't swear.
Please don't swear.
I said, just forget that the mics are there. Like, don't try to... Like, it was very funny. It was Paul Draper. The first thing Paul Draper said, he goes, well, the thing about... And we were all like... And then, like, when we really picked up steam was when Paul finally relaxed a little bit and wasn't being like, I'm PR Paul, and I'm promoting myself. And it was really funny.
We're going to be in Anchorage, Seattle, and Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
And you are all now chickens.
That's how we should start.
Chicken call!
Well, you're doing your opening.
Yeah, we should just be like, I'll just cue you.
Only if we can do it in harmony.
We should just do like a full minute of
Take a little,
chicken
talk a little.
And then we go into a commercial. And then come back.
And we're back, and we were talking about just never acknowledge it.
Or talk real slow like the...
Yeah.
Welcome to Bingo.
In the middle of one of the things I was thinking, we were like, so Eric, I just think there were...
Just the whole show.
No, and that's really what I wanted to say about that.
I want to do the chickens going into the show.
Okay. You could over the three of us being chickens, you could be like, this is curtain call. Eric just not acknowledged the fact that we're... It's in the background, and you're like, hey, this is...
I'll say, welcome to Curtain Call with Chicken Eric.
I'll say, boy.
As you can see, we prepare for these shows.
We'll go into this after
I'm
this.
so tired.
So tired. Looked like back to what you did yesterday and today, didn't you?
Yeah, and just in that heat, man. Dying.
Here we go. 5 seconds.
Are we doing the chickens? Like,
Sure.
seriously?
You guys talk, I'll talk normal. You guys do chickens.
Okay.
Okay, well, here we are. We're going to be doing a late night version of Curtain Call. So listen, just stay tuned and we'll... Here we go.
Yay! Yay us! We're so clever and funny.
Welcome to Curtain Call. This is Erik Ball, and thanks for...
Loosey-goosey, Chicken Little, and...
Thanks for clucking around with us.
And D-Bag the Cumberbund.
No, that's my name. I'm Professor D-Bag Cumberbund. You should have seen if you'll see the YouTube footage, we come up with these great little voices. I think I'm going to play with it all night. Yes, I will.
And I'm going to do the voice.
We're doing our auditions for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest right here and now. I even brought a little birdhouse I can sit on. It's a little perch right there. I'm just going to perch.
Oh, let's do a scene, shall we?
We could do a thing. Anyway,
Take your medicine.
welcome to Curtain Call.
Thank you. Next.
First of all, we have not been drinking. Second of all, thanks for tuning in. We're doing a late night version because there was some sporting event that was on live at KSHP.
It was the knitting championships.
Yeah, it was like the
which
basket
is
weaving.
probably would have been more exciting than watching the Pro Bowl.
Yikes. Yeah, and so every now and then we got to get, scooted down a little bit. But I like these late night versions of the show.
It's usually
always
sexy times with Erik Ball when we do
Yes,
late night shows.
late night is
but
sexy
we don't
time.
have Mr. Amblad here tonight to
That's okay.
provide.
I'll talk like a street version of Barry White.
Like a white berry.
Like a white Barry.
White berry white.
For a second there, it sounded like he was doing a Korean accent.
Oh,
Korea.
I'm Barry White.
And read the Atlantic Yellow Pages.
Yeah. Go to the fridge.
Like
And
the
get some-
trailer guys in a world where
It's like yeah, really. But anyway, we're here, and with me as always is Glenn Heath and Sean Critchfield, and we're thrilled to have in the studio today actor, director, photographer extraordinaire Michael Close. Glad you're with us, Michael.
glad to be here.
And we just want to, I thought it'd be a great time to just kind of powwow, shoot the proverbial poopy on the theater scene here in Las Vegas and what everyone's up to, and some thoughts. Shapoopy. Yes. But yeah, if you're interested, we're always on every Sunday, usually from 6 to 8, but you can follow us on Facebook and kind of figure out what's coming up in every weekly episode, and sometimes when we get scooted, to the 10:30 slot to 12:30 slot.
Yeah, and none of us had a chance to go see Music Can Be Murder because, Sean, you were in Tournament of Kings tonight. You had your regionals, and I had to get pulled over by a cop in Overton, so...
Who let him off because he was a
Let me
big
off,
fan of
so-
Glenn's work.
I'm sure Officer McNutterbutter is listening right now, so...
Hey, that'll be my voice. This is Officer McNutterbutter.
Oh, my
Keep your foot out of that pedal, boy.
Oh!
This is going to be a good panel tonight. It'll be like the McLaughlin Report on acid. Something with cultural
You
enrichment.
sound like Charles Nelson Riley.
It is a Charles Nelson Riley like takeoff, really. It is. And with a slight lisp.
You're like
Can
doing,
anyone
like,
in the room do
Charles
Gene
Nelson
Rayburn?
Riley doing Erik Ball doing Charles Nelson Riley.
We need a Gene
It's so
Rayburn
meta.
so we can just play match game. I'll be Nipsey Russell.
Poor Koch. I know. By the way, I call Michael Close Koch. It's a nickname of Hadford. Actually, that's a fun story. So I will tell my comment first, and then I'll segue into the story. How do you like that? So, poor Kodge, though, I know he listens to the show, and I know he listens regularly, and he's sitting over there, this, confused look on his face, staring at the three of us, freaking out, like we're, 4-year-olds on Halloween night. Just like,
Somebody left the buttons on.
let's play dress up,
So true.
So, anyway.
It's like, I thought this was a respectable program. I'm leaving.
Well, it's interesting that you listen on the radio and then you're like, and you're putting in your own one-liners and everything, and then you get here to the studio and you're like, I have nothing to say. Just here.
I love
We
the
should
fact that
have
Koch puts his one-liners in and he's listening at home.
We should have a play home game.
That's awesome.
Good, Cam. That's good.
Yeah.
So why do you call him Kodge? I want to know.
From now on, we should go to location with Koch. We should call Koch on the phone and be like, "Let's go to location with."
And now on location in the Bellagio Fountains is
Makaji, are you there?
Commander Cod.
Commander Koch.
Commander Koch.
So
He makes a chopper noise. Well, it's a little gloomy over here at the Onyx Theater.
I'm sitting at home. What are you doing? Playing World of Warcraft. Excellent. And back to the studio.
Thank you, Kodge.
So anyway,
Picked up
I think
the
that's
golden
fun.
sword of Nabber.
This is an ventrilo? Oh, God.
Will you please activate intimidating shout? So I'm sorry, I'm not spec'd for that. Okay, so this is degraded into true nerddom, so I'm going to try and get us back on track a little bit. So
The Kodge story is really not interesting now.
I know. So yeah, but actually, he and I were. Koch is also a very talented vocalist. He is a professional singer. He quite literally makes his living singing. Which so we had the pleasure to work together at the Venetian Macau in Macau, China, and
In China?
In China.
Oh, tomato.
Yeah.
No, wrong.
That's
Sisei.
Japan.
Sorry, I apologize for offending everybody.
I know the chickens are just like mad. That was not correct. So they're phoning. They're phoning in right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, but so he.
Can you imagine a chicken with a rotary phone? I mean, I can see with a push button.
That's slapping his wing on the.
Okay.
So Cod.
Yeah.
So we're in China.
Yeah. So yeah, are we? That's
No.
amazing. It was such a
We
short
were.
trip.
Well, we were in Japan until you corrected Eric.
So I've known Cod since my freshman year of high school. We've been really good friends. We were roommates for 3 years. You know,
Oh.
it's like we very, very good friends. I've known him forever. And I always knew him through high school as Mikey. And so when we went to China, you know, it's a whole new group of people. He's kind of, you know, stepped out and doing his own thing and, you know, becoming a made man. And, you know, and so when we were there, he...
Wait, they have the mafia in China?
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
The Chinese mafia.
But you know, he's...
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe they owned our... No, I'm just kidding.
They opened for Bon Jovi.
I liked him with the original Mafia.
Yeah, they-
this
you know,
this
the-
new drummer, man.
Sucks, man.
So, anyway, but,
That's our new bell. The chicken is the...
so, he goes by, you know, he decided he wanted to go by Michael. Well, after years of calling him Mikey, that just was not going to happen. I just, every single time I talked, so Mikey, and people would be like, Mikey? He's not a Mikey, he's a Michael.
call him
Yeah.
Mikey?
Yeah. So, his water name, because we all have to have pretend names as gondoliers at the Venetian, his water name was Makaji, which, although sounds Asian, is actually an Italian name. And I liked Makaji. I started calling him Makaji, shortened down to Kaj. And then other people there thought it was cool, and it kind of stuck, and now it's become a thing. And so he goes by Michael or
Kaj.
Or
Kaj,
Yeah, for
yeah.
the most part, yeah.
That's
So
cool.
what was your
Yes.
gondolier name there, Mr. Christian?
I was Arlecchino, which you know, it was funny. We were talking to one of the guys there.
Isn't that Shakespeare?
No, it's Commedia dell'arte.
Oh, I just shut you off. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
Commedia.
That's right.
But Arlecchino's
I
the
knew it was
clown.
something old. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's funny that you bring that up because there was a guy there who was, you know, pretty much off the boat Italian, and it was phenomenal. And we had kind of run everything by and make sure pronunciation was right.
You Italian man, come here.
Yeah, come here. I have a question for you.
A ravioli.
And he just look at you and slap you. So anyway, but
Spits on your shoe and says no.
It's good. You good. I like the name.
I like it. So, but yeah, and he looked at me and I was like, I want to go with Arlecchino as my name. And he goes, no. And I was just like, no. And he goes, that's like naming yourself Mickey Mouse. I was like, okay, that's a good point. So,
So, hey, I will be Mickey Mouse.
yeah, so my name was actually Francesco de Puma was my actual name, and my nickname was Arlecchino. And it was a
Frank-
nickname
Frank
that
the
my mom
Puma?
gave. Yeah,
Frank of the Pumas.
and it was a
Exit
nickname.
stage left, even.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So now we've gone from
To Snagglepuss.
To Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, God. We've gone Hanna-Barbera.
I'm gonna go back cartoon to chickens with now, boy, I say boy.
That's the only day I wear my Muppet hat, too. Dear Lord.
You really need to check out this YouTube episode if for nothing else than to see Eric's hat. It is truly something.
Oh, wait.
Styling.
Hello, Eric the Hat here.
Yeah, this hat was given to me by my nieces this Christmas, and I wear it with pride anytime I'm not going out in public.
Very fashionista. That's awesome.
And
It's as gangsta as
you
I
can
get.
actually wear it during Pride.
I just realized you three are kind of having a Little Shop of Horrors reunion right now.
Oh, slightly.
Bam!
Are you
Little
really?
Shop shirt.
Oh, segue that noise, man. What do you have? No, don't.
Andre too.
The producer's in his office right now, like staring at his finger
Chris
hovering
is
over
back
the
in
button.
the corner. Where's the button? Where's the
Well, the camera was on these two, so.
Oh, you don't want to see what he was doing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been a
Or
while
do you?
since Little Shop. It's been
Now it's
almost
on.
2 years now, hasn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah, we did a Little Shop over at the Summerlin Library with Signature, and Glenn was the dentist, and we have Mr. Mushnick here with microphones.
Fantastic cast. Love
Yeah.
CJ and
Yeah.
Mr. Ball is the plant himself.
Sad times I was.
With Mr. Randall pitching in every once in a while.
Yeah, it
and
was
we were
a-
also at the same time. You and I were both playing King Arthur at Tournament of Kings. And otherwise I would have auditioned, but we were sitting next to each other eating chicken.
It was, let me tell you, now those were some good times. I was sitting there going, I wonder if we can tease the waitress to get us another bowl of dragon's blood. Because let me tell you something, if you don't, Tournament of Kings is brilliant by itself. But if you are in Vegas and you've never seen it, go for the show. But also go for the soup.
Oh man,
sweet, heavenly, motherly
soup is so
mothers.
good.
That is.
Oh man, that's ridiculous.
It's like the only soup I would willingly bathe in.
And I have.
I just dumped it.
So go before Sean has to bathe.
I was just gonna say I snuck into the kitchen and I found the vat.
It's
was sitting in there like a jacuzzi.
I've often wondered if they prepare things the way they did back in the medieval days.
It's like I thought this was like the sauna. You know how like football players they get to soak in the tub. I just thought this. I thought this was for Merlin.
The next night, people were eating the soup like it's just not the same.
It's like it's not right until we christen a knight in it.
It's missing a little bit of tender love and Critchfield.
Merlin must be baptized in the soup before we.
The other thing that was fun was, man, Eric and I, we had basically for the beginning portion of the rehearsal process, it's a whole lot of sitting with the script, watching the show. And then at the time when we came in, there was this whole transition that was happening with two of the actors, and one of them had just gotten injured.
Right.
So they had no time to train us, and it was literally like, we're really sorry, guys, but there's going to be an additional couple of weeks of sitting every night watching the show.
And there were some technical things going on too that we were not privy of at the time. So we were kind of like, we don't understand why, but okay.
Yeah, but we're on board. We're on board, and it was and that's actually where Eric and I really became friends. Was sitting next to each other, and it just got to the point where it like devolved into ridiculousnly.
No, just imagine. We were so excited to have been hired. We were so entrusted with this role because it's a very big role and it's a very accredited show that's been on the strip for over years and years
23
years. The director of the show is a very dear friend of ours, Phil Shelburne. So we are sitting there poised and patient and trying to do everything with the utmost professionalism, bringing our A game every single night because we don't want to let him down because we trust in him, and it was very interesting watching how as the hours wore on and the days wore on, not knowing when we would have a put in, not knowing what was going on, watching us kind of slowly morph into Statler and Waldorf.
And it was fun too because there was one moment when I made some off-color remark. I know everyone's shocked, but I made some off-color remark, and Eric turned and looked at me, and it was like this kind of like test remark that I threw out there to see how Eric was going to react. And he literally looked at me and he went, "Oh good, oh good," and then it was just on. Can
I tell you something? We got to tell the story though that redefined how I looked at the show because it. You know what I'm talking about.
This was priceless.
No, you don't understand. It's not. We got to set it up a little bit, okay? The track that the actor who plays Merlin does is he comes out for the pre-show, and he does this whole big audience participation thing, for like the pre-show with the jester, and then afterwards he kind of sends the show coming out. The show begins and everything, and he goes back, and the actor changes into the
Master of the Lease.
Master of the Lease.
Master of the Games.
Master of the Games. And the Master of the Games comes out and basically acts as a facilitator of the tournament itself that unfolds in front of you. And so please take it from there.
Can I pick it up from here? Okay. So we're watching the show. We've been watching this show for a month now.
Oh, I should say that we were both slated to play King Arthur and Merlin
Master.
Yeah,
we were going for both the principal tracks.
Right.
Did you guys ever perform together?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that
fighting over King Arthur's crown.
I ended up only playing King Arthur. He played Arthur, Merlin, and Master of the Games, and I ended up only being. I don't know. It's just the way our schedules worked out.
And with you in the makeup, you look like the Burger King. Just
you know what?
Mm-hmm. Just to say,
have it your way.
So he and I are sitting there, and we're so we're sitting there, and we're watching the show, and we've been watching this for a month now. And he looks over and he sees me, and I've got my script open because I would, he would.
We were both taking notes.
Yeah, he would take notes for a while, and then he closed his script, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, well, he's seen the show enough times. He's probably got everything written down that he needs to write down. And I would just continue to work, and then and he'd open his script up later and jot a few things down. And so finally he looks over at me, he sees me working in the script, and he's like, why are you writing down those lines? And I go, dude, that Master of the Least, you have to memorize those lines. And he goes, what? And I go, yeah. And he goes, but we're just playing Merlin. And I was like, Eric, Merlin and the Master of the Least are the same actor. And he turns around and he looks at the actor and he goes, what? No! And then he looks at me and he goes, well, I better memorize those lines then. And he opens up his
You want to know what?
And the highlighter comes out.
The Master of the Games is in the show, the whole show. Like he has every other line. He facilitates every moment. So when I thought King Arthur Merlin, I thought, okay, that's fine. Merlin's in at the beginning, Merlin's in at the end. Okay, no big deal. So I had King Arthur's and Merlin's lines down. Like they were down. Every motion down. I didn't even think to look at the Master of the Games.
It was so funny.
And then when he said that, he looked at me, and it was funny too because it's right in the middle of the show, so it's like huzzah! It's like all this excitement going on.
Us, yeah.
And I looked at him, and he goes, "No, it's because it's the Master of the Games." And I go, "Yeah, are you? Why would you need to know that?" And he goes, "Because it's."
I'm like, "Are you serious?
Like there was this
real
moment
life?
where he thought I was messing with him or something. And we're just sitting there going, he goes, Eric, that's the same actor.
Did the color completely drain
Yes.
his face?
You don't understand because that's like a whole nother world of lines to memorize. Like a whole nother world.
And the lines are all they're all like
They're kind of stagnant.
Archaic.
They're kind of
right,
stagnant.
pestilence, and it's like ridiculousness like that.
They're standalone lines.
And there's no, it's all non sequitur, right?
Yes.
There's no.
Yeah, and so it's all. Once you get them, and they make sense. But they make sense to everything that's going on around you. And until you have those horses and knights and people interacting to have these things, you're just pulling lines out of nowhere until all of that exists.
But have you ever had a moment where it's the perfect example for students of theater. Just when you think you have your part down, you need to just double your efforts again and revisit that script. Because here's the thing. It could be something very simple that you just missed because you've grazed over it a million times, or it could be something that you totally left out. Now, here's the thing. That was one of those moments where I was like, okay, I'm stupid. I just felt completely
I could see Eric trying to decide whether or not he was going to lie to me about it.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was too funny. And I'm going to...
In hindsight, I can laugh at it, but at that time... because at that time, we didn't know when we were going in. So it's like, he could have said, we'll put you in tomorrow, and I would have, laid an egg.
Yeah. And then there was, there's this whole thing that Eric was just talking about, where you need to really, actors, please revisit your scripts all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 100 and something performances in. Right now I'm much more than that, but this was right around my 100 mark, and everyone said that right around my 100 mark this would happen. And I completely drew a blank on one of the lines that I'd said every night 100 times, and I looked up and I degraded literally into Bill Cosby. I was on stage and I was like, "Triumphant King, thou art indubitably what you got to do with the thing." Huzzah!
Here comes the knight for France and his horse named Jello.
It was horrible. And so now, just to pull back the Wizard's curtain a little bit more, and I hope no one from Tournament is listening right now.
Yeah,
but
can I tell you something though? On the flip side, that night, I have never been more studious. And here's the thing: there has to be some sort of happy medium. You should never be forced into a situation like that. God forbid, because was it uncomfortable for me. And two, I'm naturally...
Unless you volunteer for it.
No, I'm a naturally paranoid person anyways, you know what I mean? So I was at every turn until, even after I got put in, I was like, make sure everything is in its place, And
there's a bit of that too, because if you're looking in the wrong direction, you get trampled by a horse. Rehearsal. My rehearsal, they hold the cast back, and the cast does the entire show again with you, usually on a one-show night, and then you go on the next night. And I almost got trampled by a horse, and it was Christopher Warren, who's an amazing horseman. And if it had been any other rider, I'm sure I would have been trampled. Yeah. But so I'm hoping no one from Tournament is listening. But
no, but it was a great experience.
Yeah. To answer your question, Glenn, we played actually one of the nights for the Mellow Camp. All the Mellow kids came, and he was King Arthur, and I was Merlin. It was an amazing night. But there's this moment when King Arthur dies. Sorry, spoiler alert. But there's this moment when King Arthur dies, and
Oh,
And
hopefully
when,
not by Mordred.
Oh no, you don't understand. This is
No,
awesome.
it's bad. It's not even by Mordred. He just like summons some minion, and the minion just stabs him. Right? So
It's like chink, chink.
yeah, he's
paid.
yeah, and to further degrade into absolute dorkery that we were talking about earlier, Tim Burris and I wrote them up, King Arthur and this minion dragon as Dungeons and Dragons characters, and figured out what their stats would have had to been and what they would have had to roll to one-shot King Arthur. So
That's
anyway,
awesome.
back on track. This moment that we would have where Eric would die and I would have him dying in my arms.
Because the master of the games rushes up and grabs King Arthur as he's crumbling and holds him like, "Oh dear, my king."
There's this moment where you're kind of in the dark and the focus is all on Prince Christopher, and if any of the principal actors are going to screw around with each other, that's the moment.
Oh yeah.
And so I would like do things like hold Eric tight to me and rock him and just be like, no,
One night-
no, in his ear.
One night he put his head right next to my ear and goes, shh, shh. I almost lost it. The other time, what you did something. You like massaged my face or something. Yeah, he like massaged my face, my cheek, and he goes, "It's okay. It's okay." Or no, and the other time you
Daddy knows,
you know how
Daddy
like
knows.
you made my eyes.
Oh, that's
close,
right.
like I was dead.
He died with his eyes open to mess with me, and I reached down and closed his eyes.
Because I died with my head back to look at him like, and he put his, it was great. But
So
for those of you who don't know, Mellow Camp is the theater drama camp in the summer that we do at Faith Lutheran High School. We've regularly enrolled about 100 students every year for the past 8 to 10 years. And it wasn't last year, it was 2 years ago, we took the camp in mass and their parents, to tournament, and we split them up into the different camps.
It
in the different
remains
countries.
to date, and this now I would say that I'm probably in the neighborhood of 500 performances, 600 performances, somewhere around there. In 600 performances to date, it remains the best audience that I personally have ever had in that show.
Talk about
just
feeling
screaming kids. It was amazing.
When King Arthur came out, I was sitting there behind the curtain going, "Oh, I hope I hope they like it. I hope I don't screw up." And then that curtain opened. It was like being a WWE wrestler. You're coming through they're like,
Pyroblast going up.
Right? It was you talk about empowering. I was just like, oh, it's so cool. And then we were backstage going, that was cool. That was cool. So thank you, Faith Lutheran. You guys are great. But
So anyway, welcome to the show, Michael.
so Koch.
I'm just taking it away, guys. You guys are great.
Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with Koch and some chickens and some more horsey sauce.
I don't even know what that means.
There's some sort
It's
of
an Arby's
lame
reference.
Arby's reference, yeah.
A horse. That's Arby's sauce.
That's a horse. That's a horsey of a different color.
On that note. That's great.
What's happening right now? Dude, it is a rare day when Glenn doesn't get a word in edgewise.
That was pretty wild.
I had nothing, and I put the camera on me because I had something to say, and I was like, nope, switch it up.
So I think honestly it'd be good to maybe get back into Little Shop so we can kind of get caught in and talking.
I can jump in anytime.
Well, I was going to chime in because I don't have. When I volunteered for Sweeney, there was that panic. But my panic lately, I wake up, and it's happened almost every morning for the last week and a half. I wake up singing, and I'm singing show tunes and songs I don't know.
It just.
It's that panic, and I had it a couple of weeks ago. I woke up, and it's the one that Kelly posted because I woke up, and she's like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, I had a dream, and I don't remember my dreams. I was like, I was on the set of Gilligan's Island, the musical, and I fell asleep during intermission, and all the actors and the audience left, and when I woke up, Joe Hines was yelling at me, wondering where all the dildos were. And she's like,
Gilligan's Island?
Gilligan's Island, the musical. It was a staged musical. And
Oh,
she's like, that's hilarious. And I was like,
dreams.
and
Like
my
theater
comment
night
was, I just don't like being yelled at.
It's really funny.
We should talk about theater.
I'll do a short commercial and we'll go back in after this.
Okay.
I like
Maybe,
theater dreams.
Maybe start with a little bit of talk to get him kind of.
Yeah, let's do a little shot and then we'll go down.
Then we'll talk about theater dreams.
Let's do tea time with Koch.
Tea time with Koch.
And then
Theater
we'll,
dreams.
Then we'll talk about some theater nightmares.
Hodgepodge with Koch.
Because I've got a good theater nightmare too. It happened up at Utah.
Oh, no. Hilarious. We'll do a 30-second one.
Do you know how to do hodgepodge? Codge.
I'm the hodgepodge of Codge tonight.
Sexy time with Codge.
Hot and
Oh,
clean.
I watched the Betty White show Off Your Rockers.
That's really funny.
It's funny.
That's
Yeah.
really funny. I love old people. So
Did you see the one with the beach where they're up on the beach taking the group shot, and then all of a sudden they all like turn around like moving?
I didn't see that one. I saw the one where the woman was having somebody reading her shopping list, and the guy's like, condoms and lubricant. She's, oh, that's what that
There we go.
says.
This is Sarah Salzford from Spelling Bee, and you're listening to Curtain Call with Erik Ball.
Yay!
welcome back to Sexy Times with Erik Ball, or I'm sorry, Curtain Call with Erik Ball. Tea Time with Codge is what we were saying at the break.
If you watch the YouTube episode, you listen to these guys beat that horsey sauce joke into the ground.
Which reminds
They
me,
beat the horse sauce into the ground.
every week that we do this show. By the way, this is a live. The Las Vegas' only live theater talk show. I mean, we have our brothers over there at Love Taps, and they do a great job every year. And they're coming up on their second year anniversary.
What?
Second year, and they're going to be doing a live broadcast there. But this is the only.
They're this Wednesday at the Onyx.
It is, and it's over at the Onyx. This is the only
be drunk.
consistently live theater talk show, but we love them over there. And what you can do is you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and just kind of search for Curtain Call with Erik Ball, and then you can go to our page there. And then
Yeah,
just
you actually have to do
subscribe
Curtain Call with Erik Ball, because otherwise you get Eminem.
Curtain Call.
Oh,
yeah.
All you get is
That
Eminem
should be our
videos.
opening music right there. But the nothing from that. Okay, good. But anyways, you can subscribe to that. You can also go to our Facebook page. Again, just search for Curtain Call with Erik Ball and like our page, and then you can get updated statuses on what we are doing and what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, at the break, you can watch all of the stuff that happens when we go to commercial in the studio here and what we talk about. And usually, the most scoop can be heard at break because we let our defenses down just a tiny bit because it's public radio. But anyways, we were talking a little bit about, I can't even begin to tell you what we were talking about, but it had to do with Tournament of Kings, and just a quick plug, go out and see Tournament of Kings. It's one of those shows that's been in Vegas for years and years and years and years, and I would argue that it's still one of Vegas's, if not one of the top Vegas shows
It's a
in
fun
the city.
Yeah,
especially for
it
family.
is-
It's
Yeah,
tons
family,
of fun.
kids.
It is,
dinner
and
show.
it's not expensive. It's reasonably priced. You get a dinner and a show, and it's audience participation. It's just fun. It's good.
In my
fun.
opinion, it's the only truly family-friendly show in Las Vegas. There's a lot of shows that you can take kids to, but there's not many shows that are completely entertaining for all ages.
Right,
and that show is.
And having worked with the show, and Sean continues to work with the show, we know the people that are involved in it too, and they're great people who love to entertain. And I always say that the true performers in the show are those horses. Those horses are amazing creatures. I mean, they really are. If you think about it, they are trained impeccably. They have a routine. They are smart animals. And so, like, you put that with a high theatrics of the show itself, and some very dedicated
we just got a
actors.
new stallion, and it's a $50,000 stallion, and its name is Nobilissimo. And Nobilissimo, he's the Prince Christopher's horse, so he bounces around in the beginning. And that horse is a diva. If the audience isn't, people are like, oh, those poor horses, they love to do that show. And if he doesn't get the applause that he thinks he deserves, he starts bucking and shaking his head, and he gets really upset. So, like, it is truly amazing. And they also, people don't realize how well taken care
I
of
was
those horses
just going to
are.
say that. Being behind the scenes, you would be surprised.
They're treated better than the actors.
I was just going to say that. It's so true. They have
The
handlers.
horses get an extra bowl of dragon's blood soup if they want.
They really
Absolutely.
are the stars of the show. So
And there's a couple of teams that they rotate out.
So what
they're
happens
never
to the
overworking
old horses? Do they become tomorrow's dinner?
Absolutely.
For the glue, for the lances.
So go and check out Tournament of Kings. And before we were talking about tournament, we were talking about Michael Close is in the studio with us, and he's we've worked together in Little Shop of Horrors over Signature Productions.
And actually, Sean, Mike, and I all work together on Assassins.
On Assassins,
Yeah.
that's right. And we were talking a little bit about what were we saying about dreams or something? What were you?
Well, you guys were talking about during the first segment. You were talking about Erik's faux pas about not realizing he had lines to learn. And I was going to comment on that, because you were being paid to do that. You were being paid to learn lines and develop a role. And, when you volunteer to do that stuff in local theater, it's kind of a nightmare as well. And I've done it twice with the same show. I did it with Sweeney Todd in 2011, and I did it with Sweeney Todd at the end.
It was the same kind of thing.
Well, I got thrown in on the judge with 2 weeks to go before the curtain, and then doing Sweeney with 3 weeks. And so the same kind of crap. I hope those pages weren't stuck together, and I've got a 2-page monologue that I didn't realize I had to learn.
It's like saying, swim this channel and hold this big giant brick.
Oh, and
that's Sondheim.
And there's
called Sondheim.
And there's going to be sharks involved.
And choreography.
Yeah.
Don't forget choreography.
Dancing sharks. So no, my point is, because lately I've been waking up much earlier than I choose to, like 5:30, 6 a.m. singing, and I can't go back to sleep. And it's not like I've got some Kajagoogoo song from the 80s stuck in my head. I've got show tunes going through my head, and I don't know a whole lot of show tunes, so it's
I can just see him in his bedroom.
No,
Jellicles can, Angelicals do.
But I don't know the words, and so I've got Javert and Jean Valjean singing the Confrontation song in my head, and I don't know it. It's
Glenn, I gotta tell you, this really does sound horrible for you, and it sounds miserable, but it sounds really excruciating for Kelly.
Oh, Kelly.
Kelly can sleep through anything.
Okay.
Well, have you guys ever had like theater, like we've all had dreams about theater, being in the theater, but do you remember your dreams? Do you even remember them?
I don't remember my dreams. When I do, they're pretty awesome, but I rarely remember my
I try to suppress them as much as I possibly can, because if I were to find out what I'm truly dreaming about, it'd probably terrify me to know.
It's one of those things where my wife had this for years and years. She had this reoccurring dream of being chased by a lion, and I think she finally looked it up in like a book or online or something, and she was like, it just means that I have unfinished business with my family or something like that. And I was like, how does one come up with that? It's like, I would love to like get into.
Well, how do you do tarot reading? I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing.
It's like, I'm being chased by a lion, which means that I need to play bingo more often. I mean, what does it mean?
My nose itches. Oh, my knee went out.
It's like, I very rarely, but I always thought that
sometimes a lion is just a lion.
Don't go to the zoo.
I'm about to devour you.
Yes.
Yeah. But I always thought that the dreams were kind of like a part of your suppressed memory that has to do with some sort of reality that you're not dealing with or something. But I always thought
that's what I always thought it was, is that the dreams that we have are really our subconscious working out those things that we can't process during our conscious state. That we have those little things going on during the day, and we don't really focus on them. So at night, the subconscious is like, I want to go back to this thing earlier in the day when you kicked that little old lady off the bus. You didn't think anything of it then, but I'm going to torture you now in your dream because you're feeling guilty in your subconscious.
It's like me on this radio show. Kirsten was commenting on the fact that like you guys would bring something up, and then 5 minutes later I'll be like, going back to the thing. Says, you do
really
that
are.
like you do that like 6 times an episode.
I love it.
Okay.
Watch it.
No, do you guys?
Well, you at least have the ability to stay focused on that, because I'll have like something to say and then be like, what was I going to say? Oh well, let's go forward.
That's because we're all a little bit ADD around here. We didn't take our medication tonight.
You want to do a radio show? Let's go ride a bike.
Where's that bell?
So have either of you ever had an actor's nightmare? I definitely have. Have you guys had an actor's nightmare?
Oh yeah. How about you, Coach?
I probably have it. I can't think of it right now.
Make it up.
Probably me going from Mushnik going over to the woman, going over to the I can't remember her name now.
Neither do I, but you looked great.
In like a minute 5 seconds. I mean, those dressers back there were just amazing. I just lifted my arms, lift up my leg, done. Lipstick on,
they didn't even need you to lift up.
I gotta tell you,
they just popped me up. It was like a gymnastics meet.
There was a handful of the technicians that knew me. And I went to see it, and all of a sudden this scene starts to happen, and I look over, and there's like 3 or 4 technicians that have like turned around and are staring at me in the house, like, and I'm like, what is going on? And then Kaj walks on stage, and I lost it. And if you've ever heard my laugh in a theater, it's very distinct.
You want
it's very
Sean in the
obvious.
crowd.
It's very
Like,
obvious. And apparently Kaj had told them, he was like, look, when I come out in this dress, Sean is going to lose it. So people, I'm like, why are people peeking? Ah!
It was funny. It was funny.
And then that became my actor's nightmare. Kaj in your dress. No, have you guys, what are your guys' actor's nightmares?
Well, I just remember my recollection of any dreams are extraordinarily vague. I remember more like some sort of concept, or I remember something very specific that happened, but not any of the circumstances involved. But it's usually I get like these paranoid feelings around show times, when all the elements are coming together, and I'll have dreams about being all ready to go and have one little element not there and not being able to start or something.
Now, is it the
about
most insignificant element, like the feather in the cap is the wrong color?
No, I remember one specifically where I couldn't get the curtain to open. Like it was, there had to have been some sort of extenuating circumstances in my subconscious about this, but like I remember being at the rail and my technician going, "We can't open the curtain," and me feverishly with every fiber of my body trying to get that curtain to go up by pulling down on it. And I remember waking from that dream with every single muscle in my body as tense as it could be. Because I've been pulling so hard.
And realizing it was the other cord that you needed to pull.
Maybe.
Silly
but
me.
I don't know what the ramifications were. I don't remember what show it was. I don't remember any of the details. I just remember this vague recollection of that was not going to happen, and I was freaking out.
So the dream translation, it was a performance issue?
Well, no. There was a lion involved. Oh, I see what you're talking about. No, it wasn't a musical at all.
That was the greatest thing I've ever heard.
No, it wasn't a musical. Is that what you meant?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Chris, don't worry about it. We meant a musical. So,
It was a musical.
Glenn, what about your actor's nightmare?
I'm probably like Eric. I have them with every production that I do, and watch the YouTube video because I talked about one during the break, and I really don't want to repeat myself because I think that's cheapening our viewing audience.
We wouldn't want to cheapen both of them.
No, but it's always fun because I did a production over at the Cockroach Theater in December of Love Song, John Colvinbach, and one of the last performances, we had these door frames. The set moved like a Jenga puzzle, and this door frame was something that I had to move like 6 times back and forth across the set, and the thing was awkward and heavy, and if it didn't set right, the door wouldn't open. So we had that the very first scene walking in,
it just wouldn't open.
it wouldn't open.
No.
And I'm just dying because the actress Jessica Hurd, she's like, I can't open it. I'm just like, I just wanted to just kick it down, but I knew the whole frame would fall over.
Nice.
And it was just one of those. There's like I grabbed the side of the frame, pushed it a little bit so that the door wasn't wedged, and clicked and opened it up. And then of course it wouldn't shut. But I
don't think either of those are more actor's nightmare.
No, but that's one of those. That's one of those things where that's the kind of thing you would almost dream of. Is like that you can't make it on stage, or you missed your cue. I mean, I did one of my first productions. I had the actual nightmare of missing a cue. I was doing a production of Animal Crackers, Marx Brothers production, and I was Zeppo because.
That's the one I always forget.
And so I had a big break between scenes, and it was a two-floor theater, so the green room was downstairs. Well, the monitors were out, and I'm sitting down, downstairs. Stage manager never came and got me. My friend who was playing Chico comes running down. He's like, "Where have you been? You're supposed to be on stage 5 minutes ago." And it was literally that. And the actor who was playing Groucho thankfully had studied all the movies because he had been improvising scenes from other movies for the last 5 minutes or so. And she's like, oh, crap. So, now, and that's one of those, things you learn as an actor. It's like, okay, from now on, I'll just sit in a chair behind stage and, wait my turn.
When I was I was in a production of Henry V at Hunger Artists in L.A., and I was playing...
Is that like Henry V?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same thing.
Oh.
Yeah. It's the Latin version.
Okay.
So anyway, so it's I was playing Exeter, and there's a moment in it when the Dauphin brings in this trunk and sets it down, and he's supposed to open it up, and inside of it it's filled with tennis balls, and he's telling him this is the money he's going to pay him, and it's this great insult to Henry. So I'm supposed to go over and open it up and flip it open and look at it. He says, "What is it?" And I say, "It's tennis balls, my liege." And for whatever reason, one of the catches...
That's the actual line?
Yes, it's tennis balls, my liege. Yep. And one of the catches dropped down and had locked shut on the
and
trunk.
being a stage trunk.
Yeah, and
it's like old and crusty.
Exactly, and they were sure that the locks didn't even work. So it popped down and snapped, and I'm sitting there, and this is an antique trunk. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like trying to pull this thing open, and they said it was beautiful because my face just kept getting more and more red. And the director, at first it was like he had that look of terror on his face, which slowly devolved into him just with his hand over his mouth in the booth, laughing as hard as he can. And I looked up at the director, and he nodded at me, and I ripped it open. I broke the latch, snap, and I flipped it open and looked at him and was like, "It's tennis balls, my liege!" And it was so beautiful. They were like, it actually worked really well because it felt like 9 hours, but it was really like 30
Like, do
seconds.
that every night, please.
Yeah. Oh man, that was miserable. And that actually happened. My nightmare was I was working at Utah Shakespearean Festival, and I was in Pirates of Penzance. Now, there's some elements to this that are like, are you serious? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. But in the dream, it made perfect sense.
I need to call a timeout.
Okay.
Henry V is Shakespeare, right?
Yeah.
Pardon my French, but where in the hell did they have tennis balls back in Shakespearean days?
I have no idea. During the next break, I'm going to look up the text.
Okay,
we'll see if
because
we can find it.
We need to find
Please,
that
because I
tennis
don't...
balls. I don't remember tennis balls in any Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some badminton in, like, Titus Andronicus.
Okay, maybe.
No, I'll show you. I'll find
Croquette.
it. I'll find it.
Yeah, a little croquette.
A little Frogger in
Didn't they play
Troyes and Chrysis?
They definitely played a little Pac-Man.
It's Donkey Kong, my liege.
You know?
If you think about it, a lot of it's like Pac-Man. They get smacked and they turn into just eyes and they go back to the...
And whenever they get into like one of the conspirator scenes, it's always dugga dugga dugga. Dugga dugga dugga. So yeah, I'm at Utah Shakes. We're doing Pirates of Penzance, and now again, there's elements to this that are like really like that makes no sense at all. But in the dream, this all made perfect sense. We apparently had this one night where there was going to be this weird circumstance. This is in the dream that there was going to be a hour-long intermission. In the dream there was some meeting that Fred Adams, who was playing Major General, had to go to, and it had to be then. So the audience understood, and they were going to have an hour-long intermission and then come back for Act 2.
Wow.
So in the dream, my brother had come to see the show, and I had performed, and I went to the stage manager, and I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I go eat with my brother during the hour-long intermission?" And he's like, "Yeah, just make sure that you're back in time." And I say, "Okay." So I go and eat with my brother in the dream, and we're talking about the show, and then I come back, and I walk in, and I'm supposed to be perfectly in time, and I start getting stuff on, and I hear Sighing Softly on stairs, which is a number that I'm supposed to be in. So I panic, and I start throwing my clothes on, and I bust out the door, and standing in the hallway was my deck manager, Trevor Long, and he stops me, and he's like, "What are you doing? I can't believe you're late. I told you could go do that, and you're taking advantage of me." And I was like, "Trevor, I'm so sorry." And I'm freaking out, and he's like, no, okay, calm down. I believe you. I believe you didn't mean to do it. Just go upstairs, wait in the wings, and when we get to Cat-Like Tread, we'll just kind of sneak you in. And I said, okay, so I'm waiting in the wings, Cat-Like Tread happens, and I go out there, and I do the number, and we finish the show, and then we come back downstairs, and we're all changing, and his name was Terry... forget his last name, but he was our stage manager, and every night he would call, at the end, he'd call the show and say, great job, ladies and gentlemen, your run time is blah, 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 your call time tomorrow is, and he'd give us our general notes, and we'd go on our way. And at the end
Major
of it, he
general
said,
notes?
"Yeah, our major general notes." He would say, so at the very end of it, he goes, "Good show, ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 blah. Sean, I'm going to need to see you at the top of the stairs." And I'm like, oh, you know, I was waiting for the cast to be like, ooh. You know, so I'm like freaking out. And I walk up the stairs, and a quick addendum, I was also in Julius Caesar that year, and I had continual run-ins with the director. Nothing that he just decided not to like me for some reason, and I got through the show and it was fine. And at the end, he wound up really enjoying what I did, and there was just this misunderstanding, and so, but I did not enjoy doing that show. And I get to the top of the stairs, and Terry looks at me and he's like, "I need you to sign this paper." And I'm like, "What is the paper?" And he says, "Well, we're blacklisting you from the Utah Shakespearean Festival. You can never perform here again. You're kicked out of Pirates and Penzance, but you have to finish the run of Julius Caesar." It's what happened in the dream. So I'm like, I wake up like gasping, you know, like reaching for my phone. "Oh, what time is it?" Freaking out. I actually called my stage manager and was like, "What's the call tonight?" And he tells me, I'm like, "Okay," and you know, and he's like, "The same time it always is."
He's like, "Same time as it always." I love you.
What time it is, Sean?
What kind of cookies do you like? I mean, do you like baked goods?
Are you allergic to nuts?
So I go in and I tell Trevor, the deck manager, this story, and he's howling, laughing, right? And then I think nothing else of it. We do the show, and we're all sitting there, and Terry gets on and he finishes the announcements, and he's like, "And Sean, I'm going to need to see you." And the cast, everybody fell out. So apparently, by the end of the show, everyone had heard this story, and it had turned into this thing that they were all going to do.
That's pretty funny, actually.
But that was my actor's nightmare.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know. I think we all just really strive to do good work, and you know, that leads to a little bit of paranoia, because it's the same thing that we try to break down in my students in high school. It's like, here's the thing: if you're not a little bit stage fright every single time you step foot on stage, something's wrong. You know, you gotta plan on having a few butterflies in your stomach. That's called human nature. It kicks in because you want to do good work.
And if you're too confident, or if you're too like, "I got this in the bag already," then it's gonna be Murphy's Law, and something will happen. You're just asking for it.
There's also the aspect that if you do that, your performance is going to be a little stale too. You know, "Oh, I got this in the bag. I've done it 600 times." You know, and here comes the exploratory jello.
You know, and I
found the
this
tennis
story.
ball singing, by the way.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
it's there, right?
It is.
Okay, good. I thought I was going nuts for a minute.
No, it's right here.
But I've told this story before on the show, but it's one of my favorite stories. Again, Utah Shakespearean Festival. I was doing the fall season, and they were doing Driving Miss Daisy, which to date remains one of my top 5 favorite shows I have ever seen. Like,
if you've never seen it live, everyone see the movie. It's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
But you've got to see this show live.
And
it's a great show.
This cast was stellar. It was Pat Fraser, who is not with us anymore, but was one of my all-time favorite actors. She had done the role 9 times before this. Like, she was just made for the role. Wow. And Ernest Perry, if you guys remember, there was a commercial for a while. There was a Big Red commercial where there was the black guy that was always in the bathroom, and he'd have the big tray with all the Big Red, and he'd go, "Looks good on you." And That's Ernest Perry. That was the guy who played Hogue. He had played the role 7 times before. So these two were just made for those roles. So they brought in all this time
before that?
No. And that was really neat to watch too, because as the actors became friends, it altered what was going on stage. He became a lot more gentle with her, and it was really beautiful. So anyway, one of the times I knew that he had played the role 7 times before, and he was such a generous man, such a great actor, and he would come out and watch our pre-show every night. I was in a pre-show called Festive Fools, and he would come out and watch it every night. And so
Driving Miss Daisy is gorgeous. I was in this called the Festival of Idiots of Arts.
And he would come out and watch our Festive Fools every night. He loved it. And so I walked out, and he's sitting there, and he's got his script open, and he's reading from his script. And I looked at him, and I said, "Ernest, don't you know your lines by now?" And I was just poking fun.
Yeah, sure.
And he looked at me, and he held his script up, and he said, "Sean, baby, there's gold in here." And I've never forgotten that. There's gold in here. And it's one of those things that, as an actor, it's part of my personal ethic that you will never find me, I don't care how many performances we've done, you will never find me without my script. My script for tournament is in the dressing room.
Yep.
And, you know, and here's a great example. It was about a month ago that I realized something about the show that I'd never realized before, and it has reinvigorated everything that I'm doing. And I'm how many hundreds of performances in, and I realized that the entire night for Arthur is about his son. And I've always played it that it's about this great festival, and it's about the people, and it's about the other knights. But no, he says it in the lines. He says, I brought you all here to introduce to you to my son, Prince Christopher. And then from then on, it's all about his boy becoming a man. And it's really, altered the show. So that script, man, actors, young actors, any actor, there's gold in those scripts. It's something that Ernest Perry taught me that I will never forget. There's gold in there.
Well,
That's pretty cool.
You come across different things when you've read it multiple times. You will read things out of context as well. And going back, you can always reread things and find different meanings in the lines.
Yeah, let me tell you how you can do that. My wife has this. She's an English teacher.
You open up the book and
you have to read it. Yeah. But my wife is an English teacher. Okay, and she has this project in one of her units where they go over this. I believe it's one of the Canterbury Tales. I don't remember exactly. I'm not going to be able to reference it perfectly, but they have them rewrite the story from a different perspective. And what they do is she gives them, and they make a game out of how they choose which perspective. But some of them are the secondary characters, or the secondary character's lover that she mentions, or the bird that's sitting on the branch in the tree observing, or from a different perspective.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
It's very, very, and it's interesting because she says that, just such as high school, you'll get a mishmash of thoughtful submissions and I gotta get this homework assignment done submissions.
Then you get the bird one. Tweet, 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 tweet,
tweet. Nothing but tweets. Tweet, tweet, poop, tweet. She says, but it was interesting. There was this one young lady who's a particularly good writer, visionary more than a writer. Like she had these ideas and thoughts more than she was an eloquent poet. You know what I'm saying? And she said that she got that paper, and she looked at the story different from that point on. She did this unit for years and years, it's interesting how this student probably gave it as much effort as any good student would, and not much more, But that invigorating kind of resurrecting of this old tale that my wife has done again and again, it's absolutely true. I mean, it's the idea of. I like to think that it's a kind of a mixture of the idea of we'll never truly know the intention of the author, which is kind of fun. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll have an idea. But the other part of that is all theater every single night is different. And
it has to be because you, as the actor, are portraying the character in the moment. You're not reliving. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're telling the story.
Well, that's what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Yes, but if you don't have those, like you're saying, reading. What are you looking at?
There's two squids doing it on TV. I don't mean to be rude.
Turn it up.
No, I'm dead serious.
I'm definitely in this moment.
No, you're right. Sorry, Glenn. I am so sorry. I don't mean to go. You were in a great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I turned because Sean's gaze was locked in on the TV above my shoulder, and it had this look like.
Here we are.
And I turned, and I'm serious. We're talking full-on giant squid coitus. That's what I was watching, and I was just sitting here going. It took me by surprise because I always thought they did.
I've never done that
differently.
And I would like to also point out, as long as we're in this little segue here, Glenn, there were tennis balls in Henry V. Just saying.
Yes.
No, I'm serious though. I mean.
Well, we didn't get the description of what tennis meant back then because.
Well, I bet you it was tennis, but just plain old tennis. I mean, that seems like an old sport, doesn't it? You think musty old sports?
I don't know. I mean, how did they make the balls?
Wilson.
I don't know. Anyways, what I was trying to say, before the coitus interruptus, squidus.
Sorry.
He's still watching it.
They're inking right
now. The whole.
Kodge's back.
Gross. Just got the ink shot.
Oh no.
So, to kind of get us a little bit back on track.
No, you're not allowed to say that anymore.
I'm not the one that derailed it.
I'm sorry, just took me
Jacques,
by surprise.
Jacques Cousteau over there in his Kermit the Frog hat.
Most historians believe that tennis originated in northern France in the 12th century, but the ball was then struck with the palm of the hand. It was not until the 16th century that rackets came into use, and the game began to be called tennis. So there you go. Kaj.
So, well, when was Henry V supposedly written? I mean, that would have had to have been in the 1500s then, right?
I would say so.
Okay. Because
So-
otherwise somebody has taken a translation of maybe something else and applying the word tennis to it.
Perhaps. So
Marched our rackets to these balls.
I've got to say,
So it's
well,
so
yeah,
sweet
rackets.
text.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But I've got to say that staying on with that theme that we were talking about, with this encapsulated moment, and staying true to that.
Oh, look,
attached to
two
that.
sharks having sex.
Oh Lord, I'm sorry.
I love that yours is Mumford and Sons.
Sanford and
Mumford.
You're getting busy music at Sanford and Sons. I'm getting that, and we're gonna go into commercial.
Wait for my little lion man.
Kaj.
This is the Bill Cosby show.
So,
I'm gonna be quiet.
Kaj rows a boat and sings songs to people in character every day. And here I am talking about the number of performances I've done. How many boats would you say you take in a day?
It's depending on where you are in the rotation at the beginning of the morning, probably anywhere between 18 to 20.
And how many songs do you sing per boat?
Usually 3 if I like them.
So you're looking at between 50 and 60 songs a day.
I say about 4 albums and a greatest hits, yeah.
Okay, so you're looking at 50 to 60 performances a day.
How many songs do you guys know?
When we start off, we are trained in 7 songs, and they're basically the most popular Italian songs that everybody knows: O Sole Mio, San Lucia, That's Amore, Funiculi.
Kaj is up to Gangnam Style now.
Right, yeah. So, they've been. I had a kid like a couple of days ago. Do Gundam Style. Sorry, we can't do Gundam Style. It's not Italian. Do Gundam Style. No.
And Kaj has a great joke that he talks about heavy metal bands as Italian bands. Like
I say they're like, yeah, why don't you play some rocks? I'm like, yeah, I'll sing something from the great Italian rock band Bon Jovi.
What is it? ACDC?
ACDC, yeah.
ACDC.
and let's just get away with it just for like a half a second until the management sees it. And they're like, oh no, we gotta go back to this way. But once we finish those 7 songs, after about a week, you get bored with them because you're singing them nonstop all the time. So then you start getting into more classics like Alila, Godfather theme, Parla Più Piano. Even in the Besame Mucho, they kind of let that one slip in because there was like a great exchange between Volare and Besame Mucho from the Spanish to the Italians.
Oh yeah.
So we both switch back and forth. So they give us a little leeway on that one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's fair to estimate that you sing about 250 songs a week. That's a fair. If you're working 5 days a week,
and likely the same song
over and over.
That's a workout.
Okay, so here's my question: is that here I am talking about how many performances I've done. How do you keep that fresh? What is it? How do you prep for what you do? Because it's its own beast, and I've been on your boat, and I've taken the gondola ride with you, and I've seen your guests, and I know that they get a quality ride. That you've been doing this how long?
Like April will be 12 years.
And
wow.
And his guests are still getting a quality ride. So how do you do that?
You start off just like a bait. Everything is fresh. Every single boat is a completely different beast because you get different varieties, and you have to kind of calibrate it. It's like when you get up to the top of the stairs. It's the first thing you do. You got to gauge your audience, find out what. Are they having a good day? Are they having a bad day? Are you going to have to kind of cater to them a little bit, or even just be silent? I've had boats.
That's got to be good training. You know what I mean? It's got to keep you on your toes.
Great customer service. Like you know, you can kind of just judge a person by what it is, or even just families. And then once you get them on the boat and you start talking to them, if they're silent or if they're just one word, then you're like, okay, you just want a quiet ride, and you just.
Do you ever get anybody on your boat that's like nuts or crazy or mean or
If we get all shapes. 95% of my boats that I get usually they're amazing. They're wanting to have a good time with their families and stuff. And then there's those little 5% that they're just either a little bit too wild and crazy, which I like because then you can have a little bit more fun with them, kind of chit chat with them a little bit. But then you get I've had. One of the weirdest ones I ever had was I had a couple on my boat. They came on, and then they parted like the Red Sea. So I'm like, all right, obviously the guy did something wrong, and now the woman is pissed. The woman is upset. So pardon my French.
I think you're okay.
Okay.
so
Italian.
Okay, you remember when I told you to pretend that you don't have the microphone on? I lied. Yeah, let's go back to being aware.
I want to know. Have you ever had what's the most bizarre ride? Because I visualize, the guy at Disneyland who does the tour and
the jungle tour.
Yes, and is like, oh, here comes the alligators. I'm going to shoot them with my fake gun.
It's got to be like that.
I will pause that for just a second. If you ever, because we were talking about Macau.
I just want to know if somebody died on the gun.
If you ever go to Hong Kong Disney, go on the jungle ride. That is the most hysterical ride I have ever experienced in my life.
Hearing those canned jokes, the same jokes that you get in any jungle cruise anywhere, done with the Hong Kong accent.
Oh, yes.
Because Hong Kong is a specific accent.
Sure.
Is such good fun.
We
were crying. We were laughing so hard.
Can we do a little improv on it?
Go for it. No,
I don't want to offend anybody that's listening to this that might be of the Chinese version.
We have a very strong Chinese following.
Yes.
This is a really good Hong Kong accent, actually.
There's like 5 of them out there right now going, yes. say your line.
I see you through the window, Kaj.
So we get it. We get onto me and Sean get onto the ride and everything, and we're going down. And the guy's like, "Oh, hello. This is going to be the Jungle Cruise. I am Ben. That is my name, Ben. Yes. So okay, so now we're gonna go off. Are we driving there? Oh, look at the little hippopotamus over there. It's good. No hippopotamus. What are you doing with that? Oh, okay, yes." We get to the right, and he's doing this the entire time, and we're crying by the end of it.
So funny.
And he's like, "Oh, what was it? Please thank you so much for being on my thank you so much for being on my Jungle Cruise ride, and please come back soon. I'm here all the time, every day for the rest of my life."
And let me tell you something.
Brilliant.
Their Jungle Cruise just like totally nukes our Jungle Cruise. Because in the end, there's this giant, like, cave shaped like a giant, like, frog mouth. It's this frog-faced granite cave with an entire pyrotechnic show where the fire, like, rushes out of the mouth and gets, like, 4 feet from the boat. It's ridiculous.
That's cool.
The Godzilla cave. Oh, that's right.
We need to on the Godzilla cave. We need to take a quick break.
Okay, when we get back, I would love to hear the rest of the angry couple story and the weird couple.
I really want to hear that because I also have a few questions that I've been dying to ask about gondolier rides in general.
Yes.
But we do need to take a break. Otherwise, my producer's going to be mad because we got to switch the CD, and you know how it is. All that stuff. So hang on tight. We'll be back with more Curtain Call.
Come back for Gondolier Hour.
Gondolier Hour with Kaj.
Hodgepodge with Kaj and Marge.
I knew I could get you into the conversation. That's what I was doing that whole time.
I'm shy until I relax.
No, this is fun. It's going great. It's hilarious.
Next time I come,
this is really like.
Next time I come in, I'll be like Phil Thorn, Phil.
If we can do this every
I love it.
I love it. Like, I'm so bummed. Kirsten's in Chicago. She's missing this one. But it's going to be fun because what I'm going to do is like sit down with her and get to watch her hear it the first time, which will be really fun.
Is there any water?
You know what? That was for either you or Sean.
Was there another one?
No, there's some in the fridge, I think, back there too. If you want one, Sean.
No, I've got drinks. I've been drinking the whole time.
Wow. I'm sorry.
Poor Glenn. Glenn tries to get serious for like.
Oh my God, Glenn! I'm so sorry, but I swear to God, was it not? I went like this, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Because it was like leagues, 2,000 leagues under the sea. It was like 2 of them going like this, and they were like having a good time.
Like 5 of them.
I hope they're having a good time.
One of them has a pizza box like Jordan of his pizza.
As we were talking about
I'm
nightmares,
just glad you didn't say anything like, my God, would you see the size of the penis on that squid?
That's got nice tentacles.
But I bet you a million.
Oh, no, that is a tentacle. No, that is a
I just saw your face.
Sean, is that a tentacle or a penis?
Because I said, that's two squids having sex, and you went like this. You went,
and I'm out.
I'm out.
First off, why is the TV on?
And then while
This is radio.
Look at that. Look at that size of that squid.
While we're talking about,
Oh
what was funny was while we were talking about nightmares, up there was a guy talking about getting attacked by a giant squid, and he goes, and he literally said, as we were talking about it, it was a squid nightmare, and I was like, huh.
I wonder what that's like.
Is this real life?
Speaking of Little Shop, did you see Family Guy a couple of weeks ago?
No.
Brian's play, just between us puppeteers of Audrey 2, they were like, yeah, this was more embarrassing than my senior play in high school. And then suddenly Seymour and Peter comes out. Peter comes out in Audrey 2 like, oh God, oh I pooped in the plant, oh my God, and I just died.
That is awesome. I gotta look that up now. I gotta look that up. And if you think I am not getting Sanford and Son music for next week, it's happening. It's happening. That's your sexy time music.
I called it Mumford and Son.
That's how we're coming in, right there. Let's go back in. There we go.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, we'll go in. I'm going to do an ad coming in. So.
Oh, I love her. I love her.
Codge, leaning.
Welcome back to Curtain Call. That was Maggie Wheeler. Now, I got to tell you something about Maggie Wheeler here. Maggie Wheeler is going to be the celebrity guest MC for an event that's coming up that I need to promote. So if you are a theater teacher, a high school theater student, or if you are involved in any way, shape, or form in a performing arts group that involves high school age students, the Rudy Foundation, which is the president of the Rudy Foundation, Cheryl Rudiger, and if you've ever seen the movie Rudy,
which was on TV today.
Yeah,
the second
it was.
half of it.
Rudy Rudiger, the famous Notre Dame football player, he and his wife, Cheryl Rudiger, have this foundation called the Rudy Foundation, very, very giving towards academics, sports, and the arts, and this year they're having a performing arts initiative. But anyways, I'm partnering with Cheryl Rudiger and the Rudy Foundation to put together the inaugural performing arts showcase event called Master of the House. Master of the House is taking place this April. And what it is, essentially, we're going to have 10 teams of high school age students that are going to be competing by performing 10 to 12 minute mini musicals or musical compilations. We're talking acting, singing, and dancing. And what they're going to do is they're going to be put in front of a panel of judges at the campus of Faith Lutheran High School at the Performing Arts Center. And they will be judged based on a set criteria on a rubric. And we will give a first and second place and third place prize. And that prize is coming from the Rudy Foundation. First place is a $2,500 scholarship that's going to go back to the school or the program. The second place is a $1,500 scholarship, and the third place is a $1,000 scholarship. And the first place winning team also has Rudy Rudiger coming to their school or wherever they're from, and they're going to speak. And he's a motivational speaker and come and talk to them. And not only that, and this is kind of fun, the director of the winning team also gets the Master of the House blazer, and we're gonna have like an embroidered patch put on the blazer every year of the winning team, and have it be kind of like a gypsy robe that's handed down from 1 year to the next.
The master blazers.
Exactly. That's what we're going for. It's really lots of fun, and we are very thrilled to announce that Maggie Wheeler, who's iconic for playing the role of Janice in TV's Friends, she's going to be our celebrity guest MC, and she's also going to be leading a masterclass workshop with all of the students involved. It's a very easy registration process, or if you're just interested in gaining more information on the program, it's called Master of the House. You can visit the website masterofthehouseshowcase.com, or you can go to Facebook and just plug in Master of the House Las Vegas, and you will get all the information you need. Registration is only open for a limited amount of time. It's only $25 a student, and all that money goes to the Rudy Foundation, and the Rudy Foundation is then going to turn it back around and hopefully offer more opportunities for high schoolers in the performing arts here in Las Vegas. So please check it out. We would love for you to be involved. We also want this to be kind of something that we do every single year traditionally, so we're looking forward to that. So that's my little ad for Master of the House. Now let's talk.
You know, I just want to interject. You know, Maggie Wheeler was on a show called These Friends of Mine.
Yeah.
With
before she got her
she was on
Friends
Friends with Ellen DeGeneres, who is apparently 55 now.
Good Lord.
She looks great.
I was just gonna say she looks good for 55.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I gotta say that one of the things that I think is fun is in our last segment, we totally like did like a season ender. You know, it's like, and then the couple was parted on the gondola. See you next season. And then we stopped. So like, our two listeners were like, well, I gotta tune back in.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
We do that intentionally because you always want to draw them back after the commercial, because otherwise they're just going to flip over to another channel and watch squids having sex or something.
For now, I know we lost our listening audience. They all flipped on
they're
the
like,
TV.
somebody texted me. It's like, what channel is the squid sex on? Yeah, I told him it was Cinemax.
That was me.
You're like HBO. It's an old episode.
And when we can't come up with anything, we'll be like, so anyway, let's take a quick break. Just in the middle of a sentence, random.
It'll keep them hanging. Well, we were talking with Michael Close, who's our guest in the studio today, and we were talking because he's been working as a professional singer at the Venetian for 12 years now. And we're trying to get we want to pull back the wizard's curtain and see what's going on behind there, because he probably has some amazing stories. And he was talking about how this couple was one of the weirdest ones was in mid boat ride, which is supposed to be semi-romantic if I'm not mistaken.
And then we also get to follow up with Glenn's, what is the absolute weirdest boat ride.
Okay, so tell me what happened to the couple that broke up.
Okay, the couple. Well, we'll start over again. So the couple gets onto the boat and immediately they part ways. They part like the Red Sea. So I'm assuming, okay, so the guy did something wrong and the lady is upset about it. So we get onto the ride and start talking to them, and I talk to him. I'm like, so are you having a good time here in Las Vegas? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. We went and saw a couple of shows, and we went to the fountains, and we went to Fremont Street, and he looked like he had a really good time. So I'm like, okay, he's in denial. Well, I go over to the woman. I'm like, so are you having a good time, Bella? And she's like, well, I would be having a much better time if he would just stop talking about his wife all the time.
Oh!
And okay, and now I'll sing you a song. Oh, awkward.
Oh my gosh!
You ever have somebody fall in?
It's 99.9% of the time when somebody falls in, it's deliberate. Like you see, I see it on YouTube all the time, where somebody comes in, they're like, "Ha, look, I'm funny." Oh my gosh, and they fall in the water. Like we have a set core of safety precautions that we use for every passenger, for everybody, that we have to hold their hand and hold their elbow to get them into the boat at all times. So you're completely secure. The boats are not like locked into the dock, but we have rope holders that pull them down as tight as they can, so that it's secure. There's
no tracks on these boats. You are actually rowing these boats.
Yeah, we are actually.
That's another myth. Did you know that they think it's like some automated jungle boat ride?
I've heard tracks. I've heard current. I've heard an underground magnet underneath.
And that's what they're told to say.
And Mickey's really Mickey at Disneyland.
I'll tell you, I would say that out of the, you said like 99% of the people, there's a very, very small percentage of people that actually fall in, and I would say that 90% of those are gondoliers. If you work there long enough, you're
fall in as part of your training. Don't you actually have?
Yeah. There is a. I actually avoided that. Thank goodness, because at the time I probably couldn't have gotten jumped.
No, tell me. I want to.
Well, we go into the outside because there's 2 separate rides
without having to fall in.
Well, I have fallen in before, but not through the training program.
Oh.
Okay, I hope my boss isn't hearing me now. Really? Meet me here at 7:00 tomorrow.
By fall in, I meant I
jumped.
I jumped. I didn't actually fall.
It was a nightmare.
I threw a mannequin in there, Yeah, when we doing our training, the first thing that we have to do is there's the inside and the outside ride, and they're 2 separate rides.
Both on tracks, by the way.
Yes, the inside ride is basically 3.5 feet. So if you fall in, then you just kind of just get up, climb back on your boat, and you're fine.
Stand up.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's 3.5 feet.
Yeah.
It looks so shallow. I'm wet. But the outside ride, actually, the deepest part of the outside ride is 10 feet.
Oh, wow.
So if you fall in, you literally have to make sure that you can climb back into the boat so that you can keep the safety of your passengers. Yeah,
Sure.
and to keep going. So that's basically the first thing that we test you on is your singing ability. You have to know how to sing in order to get the job.
Sure.
Secondly, is you have to be able to jump off and get back into the boat safely without you're not going to capsize the boat, but to avoid injury to your passengers.
Yeah,
and
the
stuff.
passengers probably have to be the most important thing.
Right. So
liability alone.
it's, I mean, you just see the lawyer just back in the back, just like, okay, it's good.
The chlorine
funny was,
content really made
um,
their skin dry.
Right.
Kaj actually trained me, and so I worked there for a little while, and then I wound
I
up getting
neither
another
confirm or
gig.
deny that I trained him.
So I worked there for a little while, and then I went on to other gigs, and then I got the gig in China, and I joined him already there in China, and so we all had to go through and do each of there's 3 rivers in China, and we had to do each one of them on a gondola.
Wait a
You
minute,
were on the
I'm
Yangtze.
confused.
Which one were you
You
on?
went.
Yeah.
You went to. You were doing it at the Venetian. Then you went to China and did it.
Yeah,
The
and so
the Venetian has a Venetian in China and Macau.
the Venetian Macau.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they have a whole thing called the Cotai Strip, which is all a bunch of hotels, like large hotels.
what strip?
The Cotai.
Okay.
And the Venetian there was at the time the largest hotel in the world.
Wow.
The largest air-conditioned building in the world was what it was billed as. So anyway, so there were 3 different canals in it, and you had to go with one of the trainers, and Kaj was a trainer there, and you had to go on the boat with them. So the hardest one, he and I got in there, is we had to do a turnaround on the boat in this really cramped area. And I got in and I nailed the turnaround, and I came back out, and it was one of those moments like the Eric, are you kidding moment
Yeah.
with you, where Kaj turns around and he looks at me in complete seriousness, and he goes, "Who trained you?" And I was like, "You did! Are you serious?" But I've also gone in the drink, and I was actually, as we were coming back with my guests on the boat, and I just keep thinking about this from the guest perspective. So as I tell this story, put yourself in the position of the guests. They're sitting with their backs to me facing forward. I'm rowing the boat, and I sing, and I hit a point where there's you're not allowed to sing as another boat is passing you. That's, you're timed on when you can sing, so you're not competing.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So I'm at a point where I can't sing or talk, so I'm really quiet, and I'm rowing my boat, and they don't speak English. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my leg Charlie horses, worse than I've ever had a Charlie horse in my life, and I literally was like, huh, and into the water. And that was it. So I just imagine the guests sitting there, and all of a sudden they're like, so anyway, and then
Gondolier
I'm
had a
just
stroke.
and I'm just gone, Yeah, so that was
combine
mine.
Universal Studios and the Venetian and have big giant sharks come out.
Make it laser tag, and then you can just kind of make it into a competition.
Wow.
Oh no, hippopotamus! No, do that.
Oh, Mr. Rhinoceros, don't poke him there.
Didn't you also
Jungle
have
ride.
didn't you also have a proposal gone awry?
It wasn't my boat. This was kind of one of the legends that I heard about when I was getting trained. That there was a couple that got on, and they were having the best time of their life. They get to the turnaround, which is basically we turn around, we go back, but that's where we sing our first song. And so the guy was singing this song, and the guy pulls out the passenger pulls out a ring to show to the woman, and he said the woman's face went from shock to confusion to realization to anger to fury, and then she grabbed the wedding ring, the proposal ring, and threw it in the water and said, "I've told you time and time again, I don't want to marry you. Stop it."
That's brutal.
Jeez. What do you do after that?
He's like, yeah, I just kept rolling. I
If
guess,
you like it, then you shut up on a ring.
oh, she gonna be single lady.
Oh man, I mean,
Oh, the single lady.
So okay, now weirdest. I think Glenn wanted to hear the weirdest.
I just want to. Well, my ex mother-in-law works for United, and every once in a while she has to deal with dead bodies on the plane.
Oh,
somebody
wow.
dies on the plane.
that really happens?
yeah.
Oh wow, well, that actually brought up a good point.
Yes, people die all the time.
Wow.
I thought it was a myth.
If you she's going to kill me for saying this. If you ever get Kat, on the program, ask her about. Remember the Price is Right that she was on? Ask her about the plane trip that she took.
Why? Did somebody die? And the Price is Right?
That is for another episode.
Oh no! No, you're gonna leave me hanging. I'm gonna be dreaming about Bob Barker.
You better tune into the YouTube episode because we're gonna find out about this.
At commercial break, I'm beating it out of him. Okay.
The pilot jumped out of the plane.
Eric's going to commercial now. Stop talking. Commercial.
All right, I'll give you 3. One, my first one that I ever had was on the outside ride. I had a group of ladies that came in, probably around about 45 to 55, and one of them just thought that she would want to audition for Basic Instinct 2 on my gondola.
Oh!
And I will leave it at that.
Did she get the part?
No. I'm just wondering,
Oh, no!
Stop there. Chris's finger's hovering over the button right now.
Oh, look, it's 2 squid having a sex.
From a Vegas. What happens in the Vegas stays in the Vegas.
The second one was I don't know exactly. It was a Asian couple with their mother that came on, and for some reason she.
Back to the Asians.
For some reason, the Asian mother wasn't on the boat when I got back to the dock.
She wouldn't. I got her on the boat and she was smiling. It looked like she was just having an amazing good time, but she had some sort of like either a Parkinson's or she was just shaking a lot. Mm-hmm. And I tried to get her on the. Why is it funny?
That's wrong. That's so wrong.
It's almost midnight. Everything's this little tiny Asian woman shaking like she's a chihuahua. Strikes me as funny.
So I try to get her onto the boat, and everything is secure, and I'm looking at her like smiling, like, it's okay, you can step onto the boat. And she just keeps looking at me, smiling, and then all of a sudden her hand comes up and balls into a fist, and then proceeds to, looks like she's punching me in slow motion, and keeps, pushing me back, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm just trying to get you on the boat. And then she stopped, and then she goes and starts pinching me, getting, my nipple, and, pulling it, and I'm like, what? This is not that kind of a ride, ma'am. Could you just please get on the boat?
And then the other gondoliers on the dock all went, happy birthday.
You shouldn't have paid.
She's just giving you purple nurples right before the gondolier.
You ever watch the candid camera shows in Japan? That's my guess.
She was smiling like Mr. Burns when he got radiated. She just, there's love.
Oh my gosh.
And then finally we get her off the boat. She finally didn't want to ride, and we got her off the boat. And then 2 hours later she comes back and she's completely comatose. And they're like, yeah, she's all right now. We gave her meds. She's all right now. She can get on the boat. And it's like, okay,
wow.
That's very awkward.
She pinched bruises into help me.
He takes his shirt off and it's like the.
Well, why didn't you tell me?
It's like something written horizontal or diagonally, just help me.
What is number 3?
The final one was.
Do we want to hear number 3?
It's going great.
The third one was actually really sentimental. It was very sweet. That it was this gentleman. It was a single boat ride, and it was this gentleman with a backpack. And he gets onto the ride. We sing.
Just one guy with a backpack. Like the Unabomber.
What's in the backpack? Tune in after the break.
The Asian lady was in the backpack. Help me.
So I get to the turnaround.
I was just shaking the backpack. I'm sorry.
You'll get through this story, I promise. You're just going to give him a minute.
Squids.
I'm just watching the squids right now.
All right, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, how's it feel, huh?
Oh, Lord.
So I sing. He asked me to sing a particular song, which was Alila. And I sing it to him on the turnaround and everything, and he starts to kind of get a little emotional, get a little weep, and he's like, my wife just passed away about 2 or 3 years ago, and we've always wanted to take a gondola ride.
Were her ashes in the backpack?
Would you let me finish the story?
You're stealing his thunder.
I need to dump
them out in the canal.
But yes, that's what it was. I'm like, so where's she now? Like, is she here? Is she buried here in Vegas or whatever? Because no, she's right here, and like pulls out the urn with the ashes, and he's like holding it while I'm finishing up my ride,
rocking it ever so slowly.
Yeah,
Can I tell you, there's something beautiful about that. It's something very funny.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sorry to steal your thunder on that.
That's all right. It's all
I mean,
good.
I read that story in Reader's Digest. You know.
Did you see that Weird Obsession show where that woman ate the ashes?
I'm gonna bake mine
is that a
into
bad
a cake.
segue?
Fear
That's a bad segue.
No, I told my daughter, I was like, when I die, have a wake, take my ashes,
put them
into a cake.
That's weird. You know, can I tell you something though? I'll be honest with you.
Or give everyone a little vial and have her just throw random things in with the ashes.
Nice.
It's like this protein shake is a little weird. No, but seriously, when I die, I don't want to be buried in a box. I want to be burnt up and do whatever you want with me. It's like
I want my skull to be used in a production of Hamlet.
Have you
that
seen
is
really?
cool.
I've stolen the idea.
That's amazing. It's Slings and Arrows. You need to watch Slings and Arrows.
Oh, Slings and Arrows
is a good show.
I got to tell you guys too. I'm going to point this out to Kaj. Put Kaj back on the spot again. Kaj actually does an excellent Italian rap song, which I think we should have him do.
Oh man,
my gosh!
It's
Whether the real Slim Shade, please stand up.
It's Santa Lucia, but it's
Santa Lucia, but it's definitely.
really-
I actually did it today, as a matter of fact.
That's awesome.
for a girl. But
How does it come up? Do they get a chance to like ask?
They try to throw like different loopholes in there, like, you know, hey, but do some rock, do some like Leonard Skinner or something like that, and then you try to do something funny. But we were supposed to mainly sing Italian songs, and that's it. So yeah, one day some lady was like, yeah, give me a rap, and I'm like, all right. Su mare lucica l'asto d'argento, placide donde la prostere vento, veni dell'agide barchetta mia, Santa Lucia, mic drop.
That's awesome.
And they just go crazy. They're like, yes.
You can open for a Bon Jovi.
Yeah, it's a Bon Jovi.
I gotta say, like, when you guys are asking, like, about, because when we work there, you get asked some ridiculous questions, like, is the water real? You get asked things like, can you take me to the Mirage? Yeah.
Oh, like that, like it's a monorail. Or something.
Yeah, and I, the other great one is
Are you really Italian?
Yeah. You have a great voice. You should sing professionally.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
One of my favorites is actually Paul Draper. Paul Draper had this. He used to be a gondolier. I'm putting him on the spot now.
Yeah.
Used to be a gondolier for a time, and he had somebody say to him, "Well, if this is the Venetian, where's the Eiffel Tower?"
Yeah.
Like all smug, like she knew what she was talking about, and he's like, just didn't say anything.
Yeah, I had a lady.
It's
say to
over
me,
at the Paris.
Right. A lady, she asked me how much it was to ride the gondolier.
Yeah.
I told her, not much more than it costs to ride the gondola. But, there was a night. This made me think of this. I was on a cruise ship, and my two favorite questions on the cruise ship, awesome. One of them was these two old ladies were standing, like basically it was the two elevator doors with the buttons shared in the middle. So you go to the middle between the doors, you press the buttons, and you go back to your whichever one you're going to take. And they're sitting there and they're staring at the lights that have the numbers for the floors up above it, and they're on the Lido deck and they're looking up at these numbers, and the one looks at the other one and she goes, "Well, if they put them up there so high, how do they expect us to press them?" And I just walked over and pushed the button and walked away. That was one, and then the other one was,
That's awesome.
It was like late at night, and there was this jazz trio that used to play out on one of the decks. It was beautiful, and I would go out there and I would hang out and listen to the jazz trio, and just kind of like, oftentimes like when you're coming towards the ports, you could see the port city and the lights. It was just beautiful. So I'd be standing out there, and this guy's standing next to me. And he looks over at me and goes, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" And I go, "Yeah, it is." And he goes, "What elevation do you think we're at?" And it was such a dumb question. It took me a second. I was like, "Well, sea level." Like, hold on. 40, maybe. I don't know. What elevation? Yes, those are my favorites.
Jesus. Now you get tips when you do this thing, right?
Yes.
What is the weirdest tip that you've ever gotten?
Don't leave your crayons out in the sun. That's
Here, I'll tell you. I used to work as a bartender at the Motown Cafe years ago. Like 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to bartend.
Is that when you had the throw?
Back when can I tell you something? It's so true. It's like everybody that worked at the Motown Cafe was white. It was weird. When I worked there, one night some guy came in and left $100 tip, and I thought, whoa! And it was some guy that he was just sitting there having like a soda or something, and he just went boom and handed it to me, walked away, and I was just like, that's pretty cool, So I just thought that was kind of cool, but it's not much of a story,
I'd say probably the strangest tip I ever got was actually a check. I got paid by check.
That's
I still have it. I still have the check.
$17.42.
It was a $10 check with my didn't write my name on the top of it and just had it suddenly goes, here you are, and I'm like, this is odd.
It's like he left it blank. Thank you.
I'll add the zeros to it.
Yeah.
Should I tell them about what I used to do? Like the thing that I was hated for because my evil tip line. Do you remember this?
I know.
Oh, man. Okay, so.
Listen up, people.
The other gondoliers would be like, it's just not right. That's so mean. You're not allowed to tip line. You're not allowed to tip line the boats. It's against policy.
What does tip line mean?
Mention, we work for tips. In any way, shape, or form. You can't even joke about it. Like, you find loopholes around it, like things like, have you ever fallen in the water? Yeah, it was horrible. I fell in the water. It was like my sash, my tips, my hat just floating away. You know what I mean? You find little ways, but you're never allowed to deliberately ask for a tip in any way, shape, or form. And so, my big thing was, my name was Arlecchino, and I had come.
Hi, my name is Tips Are Fine.
Tips Are Fine.
And my thing was that I had come over to study hotel management because my mom and dad owned a small bed and breakfast in northern Italy. That was my big thing, right? And I would tell them that, I got here, because they often ask, like, how'd you get the job? What brings you here? And I'd say, so I actually applied as a goof to UNLV and I got it. And so I was like, why not? And I went, and I said, so I'm here studying at UNLV. And I look in the paper and I see that there's this job for someone that can sing in Italian. And I was like, I'm a shoo-in. So I went, and my mama is a music teacher. And my mom, when she was little, she was from Venice, and she moved north with my father and left Venice. And so I would put my mom at the front of the couch, and I'd stand on the back with the broom, and I'd pretend to be a gondolier, and I'd sing to my mom. And I'd say, and she'd say, Arlecchino, one day you're going to be a gondolier. And then I'd say, well, that's impossible. In order to be a gondolier, you have to be from Venice. But there was this big thing with my mom was one day you're going to be a gondolier. So I get the job, and I called my mom, and I was like, Mama, you're not going to believe what I'm doing. I'm a gondolier. And I said, so my mom's a music teacher. She's the one that taught me to sing. That's how I sing. That's how I wound up here. It's this whole little story. And
that's a long story.
And you have plenty of time. You have plenty of time. Wait. There's more. It gets better. So any woman over 50, it's done. You're getting a 20 out of her. Guaranteed. So as we're coming out of the tunnel, I would look at him and I would say, so what I'm doing here is I'm saving up. The reason I got this job is I'm saving up because I want to bring my mom out to visit me so that she can finally get to see me be a gondolier. Do you want to hear the song I'm going to sing to my mom when she gets here? And they say, yeah. And then I would sing Mama, the Italian song Mama. And like, if we would get back to the dock and my passengers like running mascara, Kleenex, and they would we'd be on the dock and they'd be like pressing these 20s into my hand, like
that is so brilliant and cruel.
Arlecchino, you take this money, you get your mama here as soon as you can, and you're so beautiful and blah blah blah. And for a long time I had this whole ethical.
And he's calling his real mom. Guy, I got some money for some smack this week.
So what was awesome was I had this whole ethical problem with it. I was like, I'm lying to these people, and
welcome to Vegas.
Yeah. And I talked to he's passed now, but he was an amazing manager. His name was Ron Kalama, and I told Ron the story, and he was like, "Well, if you don't use it, I'm stealing it." And I was like, Ron, I feel bad about it. And he said, "Look, those people will never know that was, unless they're listening right now, they will never know that was a lie." And to them, for the rest of their life, they're going to believe that they got to do that. So it doesn't change the fact.
My question is
that's actually pretty true.
Who actually believes? I mean, that's like going to Treasure Island and believing that those are actually pirates on the ship.
Can I tell you something, though?
You guys actually...
That's acting. That's acting,
people
though.
From Italy, from Venice, that come up, and we've almost gotten into fistfights with them because they were so offended that we were, like... portraying their home city in Las Vegas, and we're like,
Really?
dude, go to the bar, get a cocktail. This is Vegas.
But for the most part, I will tell you that, and Koch can talk on this, you're trained extensively to be convincing. You're trained extensively to know what your town looked like. You better know what the layout of the town was.
But you don't
better know the
speak
small
Italian.
stores.
We do. We have the Italian accent, and we can over the years you can learn. We actually have
You learn enough
3
to
or 4
get by.
true
Spaghetti,
full-blooded Italians.
lasagna,
Like we have well,
It turned into that Family Guy episode.
Okay, closer. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, but yeah, we have like 3 or 4 really good Italian gondolier. They're actually one's from Bari, one's from funny enough Bologna, one's from Sicily, and we just kind of converse with them, and then just kind of get the catchphrases and stuff.
Those are so made up names.
Well, his first name is OSCAR.
Thank you.
So and just with like talking with them, that you kind of get to learn the language, and when we actually have pure-blooded Italians come onto our boat and they start talking to us, it's like after a while, after like the first year or so, you're like, I know what you just said. Yes, and you can understand it better than you can speak it, but then I'm horrible. I've been there 12 years and I don't know that much Italian.
Glenn, I'll tell you that my out, it worked every time, because let's face it, I look nothing like an Italian. My out every time was people would be like, are you really Italian? Are you really Italian? Is that a real accent? Can you say something in Italian? And I would finally go, look, I'm really from Italy. I really was born in the north. And I left when I was 2 years old, and then now they make me talk like my grandfather. So, and I would drop the accent for just like half a second, and that's all they want. And then they go, oh, okay. But no, you're trained to be convincing. It's part of the training is to know what to say to get past it. You know, and you can say things like, we're on a microphone because you have a little microphone, and our management doesn't want us to speak in Italian. They want you to be able to understand what we're saying, so we can't speak in Italian. You know, things like that. It's silly, but that's the way it works.
But then you can actually use that into your show as well, because they're like, oh, go, well, speak some Italian, and like, look, I'll teach you something that you could say, but you got to be really convincing about it. Say le porte e fatte di zuppa, and they're like, oh, that sounds really Italian. And like, so what did you just say? Like, you got to say convincingly, and then you say, I know what I said. The door is made of soup.
The door is made of soup. I've seen many a door. Now, now how long is this gondolier ride? I mean,
it's about from the top of the stairs till you get on the boat. On the boat and off is about 13 minutes, about 12 to 13 minutes.
Paul Draper did something that was amazing. He got to the point where...
He bent the gondolier.
He bent the...
if you listen to him on the show,
He made the show.
He got to the point
only
where...
7 minutes. Bent time.
He got to the point where he was just done with being a gondolier. That guy, really quick, he burned out fast. So he made the choice that he was going to be... is one of our cars being stolen right now? That's pretty amazing.
No, there's 2 squid out in the parking lot.
I was just hoping that thing wasn't going to go forward.
That wasn't my car.
Yeah,
toaster
whoever it is. So, but he got to the point where he was just over it, and it happened pretty fast for Paul. So Paul, he decided that his character was going to be a fresh off the boat Italian who didn't speak English at all. So he would say in like this like broken phrasing like, "Come follow me," get in the boat, put on the seatbelt, and then he'd be like, "Andiamo," and they'd go out, and then he just would like smile and nod at the people when they talked to him, and then sing his songs and bring him back, and the people loved it because they were like, "Oh, that was just amazing. He's trying so hard, and you can tell he's learning." It's just
That's
so
funny.
ugly.
Ignorance is bliss, isn't it? It's so true. Well, let's do this. Let's take a break because we do need to take one more break before the end of the show. We got another half hour. We're here with Michael Close.
And we can figure out, what was it we were going to find out during the commercial break?
Your dreams.
No, we were going to find out, the squids. No, it was,
It was the cliffhanger story with Kat and the...
yeah, you're going to want to go to YouTube, folks.
Watch it again.
Hang tight. And we'll be right back. All right, so Dish.
Okay, so
this is Kat Gonzalez that we're talking
about?
No,
Kat Winston. Kat, what's it, Leviticus now? She just married Levi?
Kat Winston.
Yeah, Kat Winston. Kat and Levi.
Leviticus.
Something like that. I can.
Kat,
I'm sorry.
Meshach, and
I'm sorry.
Abednego.
Where's the camera? I'm sorry, Kat and Levi. I keep forgetting your last name, but I love you.
She was a gondolier?
No. We were doing Little Shop. When
okay.
she was stage manager for Little Shop, and she I don't know if she's like, all right, people have been asking me about this, so she sent us a YouTube video about her being on The Price is Right, and she won like a Corvette, and she won like a trip to Europe, like to London or something.
Whoa.
Like, it was amazing. We're like, oh my god, you're like a rock star. And she's like, oh yeah, well that was just nothing compared to what happened when I got on. I think it was either going there, I think it was coming back. The woman next to her died.
Oh.
And,
be kidding me.
and she was like, that was the longest 13 hours of my life.
Wow.
Whoa, man.
So The Price is Right.
Yeah, the price is wrong. Dead wrong.
I was on a flight going to New York, and there was this woman with her little boy, and it was the cutest thing. This little boy's got this wooden doll, and he's playing with this wooden doll, and he's like, do, 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 do. And then he finally gets bored with it, and he puts it away, and he looks up at his mom, and he goes, Mummy, why doesn't Philip talk? She looks at him, and she goes, well, dear, Philip's a doll, dear. And he goes, well, I know that, Mummy, but why doesn't he talk? This is the greatest thing ever.
Sounds like a Family Guy episode. Brian, why doesn't this doll talk?
It was so funny. I was
Make the doll
cracking up.
talk, Brian. What are these pancakes that you speak of? You fat man.
Make me lunch.
But yeah, it's so cute. Well, I know that, Mummy.
Mummy.
But why doesn't he talk?
British children are the funniest things ever. Ever. Little toddler children. Mother, I need my diaper changed promptly. It's like, what? Who? They're just so proper.
You know, it was funny when I was flying from
No card.
Vegas to L.A. I was flying from Vegas to L.A. and then from L.A. to on a normal flight, and then an international flight to Australia from L.A. And on the trip from Vegas to LA is where I wind up sitting next to a guy from Australia who's not he's not connecting flights with me. It just randomly wind up sitting next to a guy from Australia, and we get chatting, and I'm like, I'm going to Australia right now. And he's like, you're lying. And I actually pulled out my itinerary and showed him, and he was like, how random is this? So we get talking, and he winds up telling me that he's from Sydney, and I tell him I'm flying into Melbourne, and I have friends that are going to be picking me up in Melbourne. And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah. And he's telling me, you're going to love it, you're going to love it. And he's like, when you get to Melbourne, tell them to take you to the bar where you can box the kangaroo. And I was like, it is on. I'm so... There's going to be 2 pictures. There's going to be like me like, ha! And then me on the ground. Yep. Right? But I was like, I'm boxing the kangaroo. It's going to happen. So I'm excited
as the kangaroo
for like...
crushes your ribs.
Yeah.
Right?
For like 18 hours, I'm like, oh yeah,
Kangaroo!
It's on. So you get up and I'm like, where can we box the kangaroo? And they're like, what are you talking about?
Like,
And I'm like, the bar. And they said everyone in Melbourne knows where the bar is that you can box the kangaroo. And they're like, you're insane. There's nothing like that at all. Where did you hear that? And I was like, I was on the plane, not here, but from Vegas to LA with a guy from Sydney. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, what? And they're like, well, Sydney people and Melbourne people poke fun at each other. And Sydney people consider themselves more urban contemporary, and consider Melbourne people more hicks. And so she's like, he just wanted you to look like a jackass when you got off the plane.
Welcome to...
Yeah.
That's funny.
I walked off the plane and insulted my hosts, basically.
That's absolutely awesome.
That's funny. Oh, from Sydney.
I just like the fact that you're on the plane going, I'm going to kill that kangaroo.
Dude, I would have boxed a kangaroo. No doubt in my mind I'd have gotten in there. Hopefully it would have been a little... I still would have lost.
I hate that commercial.
We need some new commercials. Hi. Oh my god. Chickens.
Welcome back to Curtain Call, the only place where you can box a kangaroo. The only place where you can box a chicken. And you might win. You're going to have to tune into the YouTube video to see what we're saying during the break in order to pick up on that one. But we're here with Michael Close and Sean Critchfield and Glenn Heath as always. And we're wrapping up the second hour about, we were just talking about a whole bunch of stuff happening to, over the years of being a professional singer over at the Venetian, to Michael. And Sean was a gondolier over there as well.
I've done everything briefly.
It's very. You know what's funny about Vegas is that it's got this like stamp on it, a tramp stamp, if you will, of kind of what it's viewed as a whole. It's so funny watching CSI episodes and watching like in the background as they're driving like the Stratosphere go by, and then 2 seconds later the MGM, and it's like that's
impossible.
That's impossible. and it's funny how Vegas is perceived. You know what I mean? And when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, it's just it's based on tourism. You know, it is a casino, and catering
Strip
to the
club, casino.
Yeah, catering to the conveniences of the paying patron. But most of all, it's show people doing show work, and that sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
No. Like
Show
I just
people
thought,
got no reason
when Glenn
show
said that,
people got.
when Glenn said that, my head went to driving from the Strip down to downtown,
Yeah.
which would be hotel, casino, hotel, casino, hotel, casino. Then you'd get into like gun store, liquor store, strip club,
Tattoo
Pawn stars.
Wedding chapel,
wedding chapel, gun store,
wedding
and then casino.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You always know where you're at in the Strip just by the number of like tattoo parlors or
Wedding
gun-
chapels. Yeah.
It's very, very true, and it's weird because it's like anytime that I talk to like I got in touch with an old high school buddy, and they were just like, "You're living in Vegas?" And I was like, "Yeah," and they're like at a casino, and it's like, first of all, that's an ignorant, stupid thing to say because you sound dumb saying it.
Yeah.
It's like you live in a casino. It's just like no,
It's
don't.
like all there is the Strip. That's it. There's
That's
nothing
it.
outside
Yeah,
of
there's-
it.
And it's so funny because there's actually a gorgeous, quiet, just peaceful, safe backdrop to the city that
Where?
nobody even bothers to
Where?
acknowledge.
Where?
It's in the caves in Red
Mountain's
Rock.
Edge.
No, but you can.
You have to take the bullet train to L.A. in like 10 years from now.
It's somewhere between.
Did you hear about the bullet train that they're trying to make? back
Yeah.
and forth to LA? That sounds like it's going to happen.
right around
actually.
That'd be
Hesperia.
Yeah.
Just take the I-15 to Zizix. There, it's nice and
Zizix
peaceful.
Road.
Zizix.
Out to Zizix.
Their rest stops are so gorgeous.
That'd be
They have the-
awesome.
they have
That'd be
the cleanest
awesome if, like,
bathrooms.
that'd be awesome if, like, you know, the Z and the Y and the X in that name was all silent.
So it'd be like,
You drive out to road.
can I tell you something? That's the job I've always wanted. I want to be in charge. I want to sit in a cubicle and name streets and name overpasses and
That's
name.
awesome.
Would you do it alphabetically, or would you?
No,
Or would you do it? Because
It would
I
be
would do
based
it.
on mood.
I would do it alphabetically, but I would skip a letter
Top three.
just to
Okay,
freak
top
people
three.
out.
Top three. I want to hear your top three.
Well, here's the thing. This came to me as like one of my top 3 jobs here that I have to do. I need to be a street namer. After I heard about the Summerlin cul-de-sac, there's like a little neighborhood where the cul-de-sac is Chewbacca. There's a road, Skywalker, and there's like there's like 4 streets that are Star Wars names.
And I've seen that where it's like it's Pillow Talk Lane, on the Couch Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and out in Green Valley, there's a whole development that's the La Mancha development that's all Man of La Mancha character names.
See,
That's
and here's
cool.
the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I would find like things that would make it nuancy, and then like what would you do? You maybe make one all Sweeney Todd based. Okay, it would be like Anthony, you know, and then make one like something that would only be
But see, then
recognizable
you
if
could
you
do it
know
alphabetically.
the
Anthony,
show.
Right.
Beetle.
See, it could also be fun. Yeah, but you could also
Something-
do like where you could play with the
Cakes
end of
and
it, so you
pies.
could have like Lois Lane
Ah,
and Peter Parkway. You know what I mean?
See, that would be brilliant. And so I don't know. I always thought that was interesting, or what it takes to get a name. Like, I would never want like my name wouldn't work with. It would be like Ballway. It would just wouldn't work. I would have to be named after a park, ballpark,
Ball court, yeah.
Street.
ball court.
Ball court.
Ball Parkway.
The ball's in my court.
But so I've never wanted a street named after me. But I always wondered what does it take. I heard about this guy recently who was trying
Apparently,
to
you
get.
have to be famous.
Well, no, yeah. But there's Dean Martin, there's Frank Sinatra, there's this guy who's
Okay.
trying to get Sammy Davis Jr. Boulevard in Vegas, and it wasn't so much that it was a problem getting it named. Everybody agrees that it should be named. It's that he has to raise $25,000 or something like that. I think it's around there, so that the city can divvy that among the people and businesses on that road, so they can change it. Like in their business, like letterhead and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so as a matter of raising money, and I thought, but let's say hypothetically we were building, you knew of a new complex that was going up or something, and they had 5 or 6 roads in it. What does it take to get a road named?
Probably somebody on the city board that has that little poll and be like, "Hey Joe, can you name a street after me?" Sure. What do you want? What do you got?
Yeah, but who's the guy? Who's the street namer?
Jimmy.
Jimmy the street namer.
Jimmy the police.
I'll tell you something.
What? Jimmy the street namer. Yeah. What name would you like?
What would you like, governor?
You can call me Captain Street Namer. No, but
You want to name the street?
Mine was a Cockney newsie.
D-bag McNutter butter.
And this guy would be like, the price goes up depending on location. Because, if you get a bad location, like poor Duke Ellington Lane is right in front of the Hooters casino.
It really
Do you
is,
think Duke Ellington was like, I want my name next to the
Right
Hooters?
there.
I was hoping for the spearmint rhino, but
But I'll take the Hooters.
do you think the people get like promoted from they
It's
have
like
to
Monopoly.
Work, they have to work at the SPCA naming strays first. Well, this one's a Felix. This one is Captain Buttons. This one is,
and then there happens to be someone watching, and they're like, "Boy, you're going somewhere."
Let me tell you something. This kid,
That's a sketch.
This kid
You're
was
moving
born.
on up, moving on up to the east side.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, son?
Naming streets.
Naming streets. If you keep naming those stray dogs and cats, you'll get there soon, boy.
You have a 3-legged cat that comes in and this one's tripod. That's it. That does it. That does it. You are moving up.
Wait. Tripod, that's too obvious.
What would that guy's name?
You're playing the sympathy card, though. You want this stray to be adopted. You got to name it Tripod, so they go, oh.
And that poor kid was the kid that spent most of his youth naming his friends D&D characters. I can't come up with a name for this guy. Wolfric Greymale.
And you're just that's genius.
Good.
That's actually really
That's
good.
really good.
I like that one. Now give my grandmother a nickname. I call her Cozy. Why? Never mind. That got awkward quick.
I'm just thinking about the listeners.
Why was your grandma
what's
playing
happened
D&D
tonight? Yeah.
Why are they talking about a tripod?
Your grandmother plays D&D.
Hey, his grandmother can roll a wicked die 20.
By the way, what was the role that you and Burris came up with to kill King Arthur in one fell swoop?
For those of you
as we bring it back around full circle.
Yeah. Okay, so this is going to get really, really, really intensely nerdy. And
I've never played D&D.
Trust me, anyone who's listening live right now at 12:20 is nerdy.
Okay, keep up if you can. 2nd edition rules. King Arthur would be a paladin. He would be ordained. He would be a knight that was ordained. Mm-hmm. So he would be a paladin. He would have to be a level 50 so that he would be a paragon class. Mm-hmm. So he'd be a paragon class paladin. You would have to say that they later in the show they bring out a different Excalibur. So we're going to say that he does not have his holy sword. So he loses a bunch of benefits from not having his holy sword, right? So now we've got our basics, and we kind of looked at what he was wearing, and it looks like he's wearing padded leather armor. So we figured out the stats on what his armor class would be, taking into all those
it would
factors.
be decorative
and he's
too,
old.
so it's probably not his.
Well, we even gave him padded leather. We went full padded leather.
Okay.
And we figured out what his aged stats would be without his enchanted sword. Okay. Mm-hmm. So take that Paragon class paladin versus Mordred, who we had to give the benefit of the doubt and say that it would be an elite class sorcerer. So this elite class sorcerer is going to create an elite class minion. Right? Mm-hmm. So the minion is still pretty weak, but it would have to be a more powerful minion.
So it is Mordred that kills Arthur.
So Mordred creates a minion that does it. So then you look at the fact that King Arthur was walking towards him and he misses his first strike, which creates an attack of opportunity, which is going to double your damage. Okay? At that point, if you rolled a natural critical attack on an attack of opportunity, with the highest possible roll that you could roll for a lance weapon, it would at that point do enough damage to one-shot King Arthur.
I don't know anything you just said, but I believe you.
My question is, was it how many sided die?
It was very eloquent. I loved it.
The attack roll would be on a 20-sided dice. The damage would be 2d12, and then it'd be plus whatever.
That's 2 12-sided dice.
2 12-sided dice.
Get a critical hit too, so you get extra damage.
I just got a text message from Kirsten who said that she's leaving me. So
You know what would be funny?
My relationship is now over.
12-sided die is a dodecahedron, right?
I think so.
More World of Warcraft for you now. That's awesome.
I was just gonna say, you know what would be funny is I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. We should do like a role-playing show. Have you ever played it?
When I was a kid, D&D never interested me. I played the Marvel and DC superhero games, but I spent more time creating characters than I ever did. The one game that I'll remember playing it was Wonder Woman versus Superman. We were just gotten bored, and my friend said he was going to kill Wonder Woman by. And
by putting her hands up in his hands.
Yes, by creating a circle with one hand and using the finger to insert in through the circle.
Well, I suppose that's Superman.
By squid procreation.
By sword.
By sword.
Okay,
yes.
By sword.
And he rolled the one,
Chris,
one
who
off.
was falling asleep. Chris, who was falling asleep, is now fully awake.
Am I the only one that melted Star Wars figures with WD-40 and a lighter? Am I the only one?
I never did that.
I had a friend
G.I. Joe more than Star Wars.
But I used to take Star Wars figures
sacred.
and put them into a plastic cup and then put it in water and then freeze it because it was a cheap way to do Han Solo and Carbonite.
Awesome.
Right?
A friend of mine, Chris Pataki, and I remember him clearly because brilliant improvisational a friend from Pittsburgh. His dad, I guess, did not like him playing with these satanic figurines and caught him and took them all and melted them into one giant glob. To which he then played with the big giant glob.
It was Jabba the Hutt.
I don't know.
It's not Jabba.
I mean, I don't do the story justice.
I just remember my brother being so... Like that infamous YouTube video of the kid who mother erased his World of Warcraft thing and he goes ballistic.
Right.
My brother was that ballistic when I melted his Deathstroke G.I. Joe after having played against him. I melted it because that was a limited edition one that you had to send in the mail and get because it changed in the sun.
Man.
And I was so mad at him for something, so I melted it. And he was
I am so nerdy. I'm so nerdy right now, but that wasn't Destro, that was Zartan.
Zartan! Zartan!
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, see, I'm nerdy enough to remember the Boba Fett that you could send away for, and it had the actual projectile that would launch
On the wrist,
and
yeah.
no, from the back.
It started with the Emperor. You had to send away for the Emperor.
That's right.
At one point, I had every single Star Wars figurine, including the ones that came in the J.C. Penney's box where you bought the box before the figures were ever out.
Right.
I had them all, every figurine except for one.
Hammerhead? Hammerhead was a hard one to find.
No, I had Hammerhead. I even had the two Snaggletooths, the short one and the tall one, because I bought the Cantina set. There was one figure that was only released in Great Britain for a very short time. And that was the only one I never had. But
what was it? Do you remember?
I want to say Rees, but I don't think that's correct because Rees had the three eyes in the front.
I had Rees,
and I had that one.
Yeah.
So I don't remember which
I want
one
to find
it was.
out now. Really.
But then they started doing ones later on, and Kenner started just.
Mass producing. Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, since we're starting on the Star Wars thing now, what about J.J. Abrams getting the new Star Wars?
I just want to say real quick, Glenn, that you and Kaj will have to talk sometime because that's my favorite thing about Kaj is being my roommate. He would get a new game like that, and he would never actually play it. He would just build characters. That was like his favorite thing to do.
What was
for
that?
Hours.
Yeah.
What was the
City of Heroes?
Yeah, City of Heroes.
Hours.
I had 35 characters, and all of them were level 2. I never played them.
And my total short answer on your question, Kaj, is that if we can't get Joss Whedon, I'm okay with J.J. Abrams.
This is my thought. And
I think it's just going to divide things.
Well, see, if it's Joss Whedon, we'll only get one movie out of the trilogy.
It's interesting. How can he jump? Because Star Wars and Star Trek are they're friendly rivals.
Right.
I mean, it used to be worse, but now they're kind of getting a little bit closer together. But it's almost like what was it? Chris Evans going from Human Torch to going to Captain America. He's jumping similar franchises.
They're both in Marvel.
Ryan Reynolds did the same thing.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he went from what?
Deadpool to Green Lantern.
To Green Lantern. But it's,
He's
I don't know,
also
it's, kind of,
Blade,
it's like
which
you're
is
kind of,
iffy,
you're
but is
you're
there.
cheating on the other one or something. Like there's like kind of an adultery thing kind of going on.
No, I think the only
We
thing
just
that
turned into a
I think the only thing
We
that
kinda
was
did.
cheating,
It
the only
went
thing that was
Comic-Con,
cheating
yeah.
for me was Ben Affleck as Daredevil and Jennifer Garner as Elektra. That cheated me out of my childhood.
I'll tell you, I was dating
loved
this girl.
that storyline.
I was dating this girl, and this was awesome. We went to see Daredevil, and I'm blanking on names tonight. Bad. The guy who played Bullseye.
Oh, Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Oh.
She's sitting there and she goes, "Yeah, I like his performance, but his accent is horrible." And I was like, "His Irish accent, that's real."
That's pretty funny, actually. I have to do a shout out because I see on my Facebook that Amy Lee has been listening to us.
Hey, Amy.
Oh,
Hi,
Yay,
Hi,
our
Amy.
one
She was
fan.
kind of
I love Evanescence.
I was I was the Paula to Amy Lee's Simon at regionals this
Nice.
weekend, and so
Wait. She was Paula, or you were Paula?
No, I was the Paula to
and
her
she was
Simon.
Simon. Oh,
Yeah.
good God.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
That's funny.
So thanks for listening. Always a pleasure. But we are, time flies when you're talking comics. Apparently, it's now 12:29. I just want to say real quick, folks, if you're listening and you want to support some good high school age thespians, we have two great shows coming up at Faith Lutheran. We have the middle school musical, which is Disney's The Little Mermaid Jr., coming up in March, and then our big high school musical of the year in May. We're doing Legally Blonde. If you want more information, check out faiththeatercompany.com, or you can just find it on Facebook. And likewise, if you're just tuning in just now, you missed a heck of a show. You're going to want to hit up YouTube and Curtain Call with Erik Ball, search it, and subscribe to our archived episodes. You can like us on Facebook. We love to be liked. And tune in every week, 6 to 8 p.m.,
I was just going to say.
ever since the Squids.
Some of us like to be loved.
6 to 8 p.m. Curtain Calls on all the time.
Can
if
we
you're-
outro on Glenn's music?
Absolutely. All I want to say is that if you are in a show or you're directing a show that's coming up and you want to be featured on Curtain Call, shoot us an email or send us a message on Facebook. We'd love to have you on the show. Love to feature upcoming starving artist work. So, and yes, we do need to. Thanks, Michael Close. You are a wonderful guy, and I love having you around. It makes me feel happy when you're.
I hope someday you can
around,
sing
so.
professionally. I really do.
You know, all it needs a curtain and a microphone.
That's really all we need.
Two
But
turntables.
in the same token, guys, like thank you so much for having me over here. Like these are some of the three of the most amazing people that I know in my life. Just directors, actors, performers.
You are three of the most
singers.
amazing
Love 'em.
people in this room.
Let's go and make some beautiful squid love right
Yes.
now.
All right.
But anyways, we
All
need to say goodbye, and we'll see you next week on Curtain Call with Erik Ball. Let's do some outro music. Do you have any outro music? Here we go. Oh, Elizabeth, I'm coming to Georgia, baby.
This was to date, and I
that
haven't
was
done as
fun.
many as you have, but this was to date my favorite show that we've done.
Did you ever see the improv? We had Matt Donnelly, Paul
That
Mattingly.
was absurd. That's one of
Mrs. Fancy Pants!
I did see
funny.
a meme today that cracked me up, and I'm sorry we didn't get
meme?
to it. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
memes,
yeah, yeah.
right? It was a meme, and I was dying.
goodbye.
What was it?
What's up?
Say goodbye.
It was a meme, and
Here,
I
get my hat. Get my hat.
cracking up.
I got
It was